Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans. It's level 1, lesson 13. And this one is all about your light body and conscious co-creation with the sun. We're going to talk today about things within a pristine system, but of course, there's always the challenge that we face in this very, very non-pristine system. And the challenges that I have faced just this morning in like trying to collect my thoughts and prepare myself to be able to prepare my notes and whatever, organize my brain structure to talk with you about this today. There is such a pervasive mind disruption network. Of course, where's my little thing over here? It is this, but I'm really, because some of that can be ground based and can be coming from different repeaters, towers, and other types of things like that. But I'm really talking about the thing that is in the lower atmosphere, the low Earth orbit satellite system that is beaming those telecommunication frequencies, but also doing so much more. It really is a very, very intentional, disruptive antichrist grid, and it is in the level of the stratosphere that is directly analogous to the Christ chakra of your own body. So when I pull up, hold on a second, I didn't prepare for class today. So let me squint and scroll while I'm here, get my folder, pull up pictures. Let's do it. Thank you for your patience while I do this. Let's just get a generic picture of chakras. So much disruption coming in during our class today. So I'll just call it out when I experience it. There we go. And of course, it happens when I touch technology. Good. Here's a picture. Sorry for all of my crazy faces that I make when I'm like trying to focus while I'm touching technology. Okay, good. So this picture over here, you've seen in class many, many times. It represents your light body. It is your body of pure information. It is your body of energy. It is a body of time, timelines, and possibilities of abstractions. And it is highly mathematically oriented and can be described numerically. And that type of math and numeric description is non-arbitrary and not in any way related to the whimsical, disgusting patterns that are often represented by human mathematicians. We're talking about divine, incontrovertible math in the way that it is exactly supposed to be. And in a pristine system, what is supposed to happen is you're supposed to have this shape, which is, of course, the same as my little sculpture that I hold up. It's in the thumbnail, but I'll show it to you when we're here in the class so you can see me. The toroidal energy field that surrounds you is the same shape that surrounds Earth in the form of the magnetosphere and the same shape that surrounds the sun. When I speak to your intellect and I tell you those things, some of your intellects are like, well, duh, Aurora, like, I've heard that a million times. I'm like, I know, but this is important stuff. Okay, so although you appear to be physically distant from the sun, the shape of and non-local connection of your energy field to the sun means that you are instantaneously or immediately connected. It's as if there is no distance between yourself and the sun. And the key point that you have to do is to comprehend, you have to build your attention. So this is where I talk to you about the tendril of attention that comes out from your mind. I'm going to just kind of like wiggle my cursor. It comes out from over here and then it goes outward in this direction. So let's go back to, well, first let's go like this. So here you can see the central apparatus inside of your skull. That place is the inner sun, where the intersection of the indigo and the violet chakra is the place where your brow and your crown come together. This is about your Christ consciousness, your connection to solar civilization or stellar civilization, and also your connection to divinity. Those are two really, really important aspects of yourself. So the disruptive satellite grid disrupts your connection to yourself, your connection to Christ, your connection to divine, benevolent, otherworldly civilization, your connection to the sun. Like, it disrupts so much. It is Antichrist. The indigo chakra is Christ. Satellite grid is Antichrist. Shiki is here. I think we just need to take a moment because it's been such a heated, pitched battle this morning. Cheeky's being super inappropriate with her toy. She's like, "Hey guys, watch what I can do." And so we just have to celebrate that because she is a, creature who does that. So fantastic. Thank you. I know I don't even have like a punchline to deliver. Just Cheeky is being herself, and that's enough. Okay, good. But thank you for the lightheartedness, Cheeky. We appreciate it. Okay. Um, we've talked in class a lot about how I perceive that there has been an injury or even a destruction to that larger galactic scale network of consciousness that is Christ. That I don't think or feel that there is some benevolent presence of assistance where they're like trying to help us or trying to get to us or trying to get through or trying to fight against this thing, and that they're simply unable to. Like, like you're stuck in a prison, but there's someone outside of the prison like pining away trying to get at you, and that they just can't get through. I actually don't think that's what happened. I think that, and of course this is all in the fog of war, so I cannot say exactly what's going on because the 5G satellite grid disrupts our capacity to see and know what is actually going on. It's really important for you to recognize that the people who erected that grid cannot in any way be considered allies or friends to humanity. That visible behavioral action is such a profound assault against you and negative thing to do to another person or planet that not only is it unforgivable, but it's very, very obvious. It's as obvious as if someone would ever took a machete and was attempting to, chop your head off. That is definitely not a friend or an ally. And there's no way to contextualize it. Be like, I was whatever. I was swatting a fly and I accidentally chopped your head off with my machete. No. Or I was giving you a haircut and I chopped your head off with my machete. No. Or anything. There is really no way to be able to contextualize these actions. So these actions are very much against planetary ascension. Like the planet was accelerating, receiving much, much more light. So this is very relevant to what's happening right now. Why such pitched battle this morning? Why do I have this, distressed energy? Because there was actually a giant solar flare, beautiful amounts of transformative energy came in that for us to metabolize. When that happens, there are still some lingering energy parasites here, like the ones who erected the satellite network. They go crazy with these influxes of light. Now they are really gyrating wildly out of control. Everything that their system is, the good news is that I can tell you, their system is not going to imprison you. It is fully, their system is fully destabilized. I have done a lot of work, just check out my brilliant comic book of stick figures in order to describe to you the different things that I've been doing. But like, you will not be enslaved to an AI, all right? This is very, very positive, good news. So although this is a difficult moment, you're not going to get enslaved. And also, I told everyone this a few days ago, you will have a graduating class. Like there was a question about whether you would even have anyone graduate or move onward in terms of your level of consciousness development from the garbage heap that you know of as, this planetary structure right now. And the answer is yes, there will be some number of graduates. So that is positive, and that's the information that I can share with you as like the energetic weather report. So we had a giant emission from the sun. So in my notes from 10 years ago, what I'm teaching about is what is a coronal mass ejection? It is consciousness, human earth science of benighted, gross, and disgusting scientists who are not good and who are not your friends at all. Look at the sun and the CMEs as if they are particulates or mere stupid dead energy or something that is not sentient and doesn't have an impact on consciousness. But these emissions absolutely are made of consciousness and they have an impact on consciousness. It is like a neuron. And you are witnessing the release of neurotransmitters, but please use that as a very, very loose analogy. So, because you're like, particles of thoughts are coming to you. Just think about it in this way. Like, thought sprinkles are sprinkling on your head. Okay. Thought sprinkles are sprinkling on your head. And the thought sprinkles that are sprinkling on your head are absolutely part of divine harmonics. They are part of the larger stellar network of true consciousness that is divine consciousness that is actually intelligent. You live inside of a great brain and you live inside of a dream that is a dream of a larger being. So let me press pause on my rant for right now. And let me go back to something that I promised 2 weeks ago. Happy that I remembered. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm laughing. I'm laughing because the machine is so bad. Like I started to type in, you know how it does. So first of all, here are some things that you can, I'm sorry, I just stopped and I didn't like fully finish my sentence. Signs of things that you guys can see in your own life that are positive signs of the AI failing are autocorrect is going cuckoo bananas. Have you noticed that? I hope that you have. In my own life today, both typing on social media, typing in emails, and typing on the computer in other ways, I have noticed not only attempts to hijack and change the meaning of what I am presenting through my typing. Sometimes I spell badly, sometimes it's not me, sometimes it's the autocorrect is literally changing my words as I'm typing them. But also, I just laughed because as I was putting in, this is in my notes, to be able to pull up the correct note that I know is in there. First, I typed in, the name of the title, the first few letters. And of course, it should fill it in and it should bring that up as the first option. And of course, it didn't. I saw it go by. And that's why I laughed. I was like, oh, there's that option that I actually want. And the computer was like, no, give me more. Touch me more before I will give you that information. Touch me again. Touch me again. No, put in more letters before I will give you that information. I'm like, oh, you watched me do it. And then I'm like, oh, thank you, computer, for your silly information. So all of this in order to say, so you understand your own individual computers, telecommunication devices, and other forms of your technological windows into the world are completely connected to the anti-consciousness satellite grid that is in the stratosphere. All right. And it is absolutely not only disrupting your thoughts and not sprinkling, but creating an anti-consciousness grid like a sieve that blocks out actual consciousness from coming in. But then also, of course, it is affecting your own neurology. We'll get more into the rant. This is a beautiful question from a couple of weeks ago. Thank you, Chris, for being in our class. And thank you and apologies. And thank you to everyone. Also, I wanted to just emit a blanket apology in class today because I've been really focused since pretty much Halloween. And that was whatever, almost 6 or 7 days ago. For anyone who's been attempting to connect with me in communication, to sending me messages if I haven't been replying, if I haven't been attentive to scheduling details about the upcoming retreat or about a personal session, please forgive me, as I have been doing a lot of work that benefits our whole entire planet. So thank you for understanding, and I will catch up on all of my messages. So thank you for that. And then also now, Chris, thank you for waiting several weeks for me to actually talk about this. And now we're talking about Chris's question. This goes back to when I said in class that I made a comment, I am the sun and I'm having a dream. So I'm right now speaking as myself being quoted when I said in class that I'm the sun and I am the sun and that I'm here and I'm having a dream. And in my dream, I'm a woman named Aurora, okay? Chris asks, number one, can I give clarity on what a dream is and what is the difference between reality and a dream? Okay, so first of all, let's talk about this because this really, really matters in terms of the metamorphosis of your consciousness. Like what we did a soul migration when we did our dance on Tuesday. It was actually very beautiful. Everyone did a great job. So please know Tuesday was a watershed day. And if you see me in, distress today, it's not because Tuesday didn't go well, it's just because like the dark side, like I said, like parasites going crazy. But when you are going on this migration, it's a journey of consciousness. Like Aurora, you were in the same room last week. What do you mean you went on a migration? You're still in the same room. Look, same ceiling fan, same everything. I'm like, no, changed our trajectory through time, our state of being, our I can't come up with words for it right now. So it is absolutely essential to be able to form language around what state of consciousness you're in and what level of impact upon reality can your consciousness have. Those are the two things that we use to define whether you are in quote unquote reality or quote unquote in a dream. When we say I'm in reality, what we mean is I am in a world that is either a materialistic world that is not affected by my mind at all, or a consensual reality that is partially affected by my mind, but also partially affected by and emitted by the minds of many others, but then also follows the rules of the, I want to say the rules of the game, the rules of physics, which is the rules of the physical world, which is like the rules of the game of reality, game of space-time, in order to keep everybody here. All right. Now let's contrast that with the dream. Dream is usually presented as a fully internal experience, as reality is presented as quote unquote an external experience, even though you guys know that the definition of lasagna is it is a bridging together of the inside and the outside. So we're going to talk about that too. A dream is described as a largely internal experience, meaning something that is, according to materialistic human stupid science definition, something that only one individual participant is experiencing within the boundaries of their own consciousness. So it is not consensual, meaning it is not something that other minds can perceive or connect to. And also, a dream is defined as a place that is malleable, responds directly to thoughts, and has no staying power. Like it is vanishes in a puff of smoke. Things change in a dream. Like you're talking to a person, then you're talking to Godzilla, then it's a pickle. Like things have no causality structure. They have no integument of causality. Whereas in the reality that we call reality, there is a causality structure. People do not turn into Godzilla in front of your eyes and then transform into a pickle. Like there's nothing that makes that happen. So it is a convenience of our perception and something that helps us to navigate reality, to make a distinction between these two states of being. I will tell you that the materialistic description of what is a dream is totally inadequate, because there are such things as dreams that are merely your own inner journey within your own mind, or even the digestion of your daily detritus. Sometimes so now within first let's put dreams into categories. Sorry. And even though I'm not the best dreamer, I'm good at putting dreams into categories. The first thing is some dreams are silly nonsense that are just your brain, I want to say digesting itself, taking out the trash. All right. And those are just like when your stomach burps, they are just the end result of your mental digestion process. And that happens because when you have experiences during the day, it's like bringing home groceries. And then you get home with your bags of groceries, you have to put certain things in the fridge, certain things in the freezer, certain things into the cupboards, and organize yourself. With your thought structures, you learn things during the day, and your brain has to put that information into places. Some information goes into long-term storage. That's the freezer. That's the stuff that you want to remember for a long time. Some information is not important, and it goes into the trash. And, a lot of what your body does while you aren't asleep is to take out the trash. And that's one of the most important things. Like you don't need to remember, whatever, phone numbers, passcodes, blah, 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 like things that are just temporary. Like you're like, I only need to remember that for 5 seconds. And now it's done. It's not relevant. Crumple it up and throw it away. And your brain needs to do that, because if you don't do that, you will run out of memory space in your own brain. It will become ponderous. And it also could be considered, I want to say maladaptive, but I don't know if that's the right word, something that doesn't help you to survive. So there's a couple of people that actually have this form of memory as considered an affliction. Like it's in the doctor's manual, like memory that's too good, whatever is the serial number for a person who has a memory that's too good. But these are people who can't forget stuff. So if you're like, oh yeah, call my phone number, 637-538, and they'll remember that for forever, and they can't get rid of that out of their mind. They're like, dude, I still remember that. So for them, it is curse. and they don't like it, but somehow their brains work differently. But a healthy functioning mind, I want you to know it is important to take out the trash and to take out things that are no longer relevant. Or think of it also, instead of trash, as cleaning out your closet. Like, you take out the things that do not fit you anymore and are no longer relevant in your life, and you joyfully release them. Okay. Some dreams are your mental imagistic interpretation of that process, where you're literally watching yourself clean out your mental closet and be like, yeah, I don't need this. I don't need this. No, 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 no. And that's important to do. And for a lot of people, that's the extent of dreaming. Dreaming can also be a deep dive and self-exploration. When you go into your dreaming, you can explore yourself completely. You can explore your DNA, you can explore your cellular structure. You can get information about your own health and vitality. Like, you don't have to go and have a CAT scan in a machine. You can look into yourself and know what is happening internally. You also should be able to do a deep dive into your own emotional truth and assess how you're feeling and other things like that. And sometimes your dreams are going to be an imagistic expression, a symbolic expression of that deep dive. All right. But, and also, dreaming can be a connection to a consensual reality that happens to be non-local and is shared by other people. And that is the most difficult one for the materialistic scientific viewpoint to accept, because it has to accept different definitions of what is consciousness than the current scientific definition. And it has to create a distinction in the real seeing of your true Christ consciousness, as opposed to things that are the rational intellect or nonsense, or in this world where we are have been up until this point surrounded by like this harmful, corrosive satellite grid, hijacked dreams, implanted dreams, imagery that does not come from you, thought structures and narratives that don't come from you. So in the traditional interpretation of self, if you're not just taking out the trash in your mind and you're looking at the images from your dreams and you're like, oh, why did I dream about that? What was going on in my mind? You're like, oh, like, you know, if you're running from scary clowns, you have to learn about yourself, how you're scared of clowns. But in this world, it could be that satellites are beaming clowns into your mind, and it's not even from you. And then if you go on a deep dive to be like, well, why do I have a fear of clowns? It's like, the truth is, no, you don't. You don't have a fear of clowns. You live on a very hijacked and polluted world where the mental plane is not pristine, and you're combing through garbage. God, it's not even your own garbage. And some of it's cultural garbage. Some of it might be relevant to you. It's very, very largely irrelevant to you. And the people who program that garbage, because it's not just random garbage, like somebody threw a banana peel out the window, they are pumping out garbage so that it goes into your mind when you're dreaming. And you have, so all that's happening is you are getting a window of insight into the grotesque mutations and distortions of unhealthy minds who create satellite grids that put gross garbage into other people's minds. This is all criminal acts. Criminal act, and very wrong for them to do that to you. And if you had all the money in the world, it's a very, very wrong person that decides to create an antichrist garbage streaming network in the sky. Like, oh, I've got all the money in the world. Like, think about what would your dreams be with all the money in the world? Why don't I plant an orange grove and rescue all of the gorillas and we can all live in nature? No. How about you create a artificial worldwide satellite grid? I also call it a monument to his insecurity, because it is used as an antichrist weapon against true Christs. Truly. Truly, it's like, if you don't feel good about yourself and you don't think that you can compete on a level playing field, you know, like you got to kind of amp yourself up against the enemy planetary wide, a planetary scale need for self-augmentation, because you are that inadequate compared to the other people. You can tell, like, I'm intentionally saying these things to you, beautiful students, also knowing that perhaps adversaries will perceive these words as well. Dream state is actually, in true loving telepathy and with the correct functioning of your higher senses, an opportunity for you to connect with other people. Some of those people are alive here on the planet at the same time as you. Many of them were alive in the past. Some of them are potentials into the future, or you could consider them to be multidimensional civilizations that you cannot reach with a Clank metaspaceship, but you can reach them through the dreaming of your mind. And those adventures are very, very important. Our world has been cut off from those dream adventures. So you also, when I say that, some of you go into, but like so and so channels a blog, and they've been going on dream adventures for the past 5 years, and they've been telling me all about whatever has been happening in there. And I'm like, you now have to have a lot of skepticism for any supposed reports that people have given you since the satellites were emitted over 5 years ago about their inner dream experiences. Because although we also have to have skepticism, like from Greg Giles, he was a well-known channeler in the New Age world in like kind of like 2010 era and a little bit after that. And at a certain point, he came forward and he recognized that most of the voices that he was hearing were voice to skull, technologically oriented, probably coming from earthly government-based organizations who are non-helpful, manipulative of human culture, not spiritual gurus in any way. He recanted all of his work and, of course, stopped being a public figure. That is laudable and positive that he did that, because he recognized his mistake. And when you have psychic gifts up here, sometimes you're like, oh yeah, like I'm seeing things, I'm really seeing real things. But then sometimes you're like, oh, like that was all, don't listen, kids, bullshit and not truthful at all. And this is your bullshit detector. And you must calibrate it to be able to tell what is real light and what is false light. Part of the challenge I can also tell you is that in this world where the satellite system has been created, there has also been an intentional pathogen created to infect Christs that preys upon the questing nature of your tendril of attention. So to get, like, I'm going to keep on talking to you about dream and reality, but curriculum here, your tendril of attention reaches out from your mind. You have to build it. You have to build a connection between yourself as an individual and the sun and the network of stars. As you know, the sun is an individual and you're connecting to a whole network. You're not supposed to be cut off from them. You're supposed to be connected to them your whole entire life. But because of unfair stuff, you were disconnected from them. So now through your own efforts, you have to build that connector and send it out to the sun. And the key point that I caution everyone is that with that connector, whatever you're questing upon, you touch on a little bit and you ingest it. So what if I'm an evil thing? I couldn't even say that. Listen to my voice. What if I'm an evil thing? I'm not an evil thing. Well, what if I were an evil thing? Okay, let's put on my like plotting, scheming voice. And what if I wanted to do something really bad to Christ? You know what I would do? Like if I wanted to make a trap, if I wanted to catch a mouse, I would put a bunch of cheese in the mouse trap. And if I wanted to catch and infect a Christ, I would put something there that would be very interesting, appeal to someone's curiosity, appeal to the puzzle solving nature of those who are genuinely intelligent. Put something there that a person wants to know about, that a true Christ wants to know about. So it would have to be something, because like the idea of having your tendril of attention is that it exists like a sensory input, aspect of you, to guide you through your life and to tell you what is important, what you need to know about, what you need to place your mind on, which direction you need to go in life. Your tendril of attention is meant to, like your eyes, like to be sensitive and to bring things inside of you. And this evil thing puts something there, like whatever, like a tasty tidbit for a trap, something that is actually very poisonous, but that your mind would be curious about. That's the word I was looking for. The innate curiosity of an intelligent Christ. Think about a child. Children have an innate curiosity. If you show a child something, they're going to be like, "Ooh, like what's this? Can I eat it?" Or whatever. Can I play with it in some way? It is the beautiful nature of what it is to be a child. You are in exactly that same way. You have a innate curiosity, and is what you put your mind on. So if there was something that was very, very evil, it would try to make a thing that was like, hey, what do you think about this? And you'd look at it and be like, wow, I'm curious about this. How about I place my attention on it? And then in placing your tendril of attention on it, the pathogen would go into you and then become something that is a blockade to be able to ingest the solution that tells you that you've been infested, or whatever would be the antidote to be able to get out of that. It's a very, very devilish trap. And this is exactly the situation that you're in right now. So we'll talk more about that, but moving back to the sense of whether a dream is a real dream. Is it in consensual reality? Is it an implanted consensual reality? Because now you have to consider that possibility that you are in a shared space that is like a digital astral, not even like the lower astral, but a digital astral, a place that is, whatever, somewhat created or upheld through the electric and technological satellite grid type of place. Someone out there, I'm telepathic, and someone out there is wondering about the telepathy tapes. They're like, what about the telepathy tapes and the hill and all of that? And I will tell you, I was extremely skeptical when the telepathy tapes came out. I did not listen to all of them because what I do is I protect myself by not putting my tendril of attention directly on stuff that might be unhealthy or unwholesome or that might infect me in some way. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just go around the periphery and I'll just kind of do like check the synopses, but not the videos themselves, or check if someone else that I know has watched those videos and if they can give me a rundown of them before I kind of expose myself to them. I want you to know and do something similar. I have a immune system for ideas. If I want to protect myself from ingesting bad ideas, I want to look at the ingredients before I eat any of it and get a sense of whether it's reputable before I even expose myself to that. You should do something similar, because there are these unhealthy false light traps that are laid for people. And then if that happens, it's like trying to braid your hair in the back. It's very, very, very difficult to braid your hair in the back. So you have to have someone else come along and help you. Be like, let's get all of that like Antichrist venom out of your mind and clear your windshield so that then you can see clearly again, and then you will be able to like get out of the straitjacket and kind of clear yourself going from there. Because the Christ chakra is a laser, and lasers can etch things. Like there is a way to remove corrosion. These are wonderful videos that are very satisfying to watch. A piece of metal that has been corroded, and there's like a laser that just takes off and vaporizes like the first top layer, and you see the corrosion get vaporized away, and you see beautiful shiny metal emerging underneath there. So satisfying. So I want you to know that is a good visual for the power of your own mind, the power of your own bullshit detector, not only to detect bullshit or rust or corrosion, but to incinerate it. And if you incinerate something, if it is 100% false and 100% false light, then there's no substance there. You would just be like, oh, look at that. Like there's nothing left. Like once you take away all the corrosion, like there's nothing underneath it. And if something is truly a valuable person, organism, or idea that has a layer of corrosion on top of it, you would, of course, incinerate anything that is unworthy and then ingest only that which is worthy. But key point, this only works when you are up to top speed. So like my dog's stomach, it only works. This is with dogs. Like if you feed a dog the raw food diet, their acids in their stomach can like liquefy anything. They don't get sick. They're great because they have very, very high levels of acid in their stomach. All right. But once you start to feed a dog cooked food and some of the kibble, it reduces their acid, all of these different types of things, and then they can't digest the food as effectively. So I'm sorry, my analogy fell flat and was not as good as I wanted it to be, but I'm trying to say like, if you have a highly functional, highly metabolic Christ chakra, you can incinerate all the corruption like that fast. Like you have high qualities of your, acid digestion, and you can do that very effectively. But if you haven't been fed the correct diet or kept under the right circumstances, you might be sluggish and you might not be able to effectively incinerate that corrosion, and then you will be susceptible. So I really want you to know any superpower can also be a weakness. Your Christ chakra is a superpower. It can also be a vulnerability. It has been exploited as a vulnerability in this world. Just like if someone is really sensitive in their eyes and you shine a bright effing light in their eyes, you will destroy them. You got it. You got it. So you have to protect the areas of your body that are sensitive to being overloaded in that way, or that can be attacked in that way. And when I start to describe it anatomically, I'm also sensing with a lot of you, my good people in my class, I'm very possessive of you. I'm like, my good people in my class, you are starting to sense like, oh, like this is how the Christ network could have been either overwhelmed or harmed or somehow whatever, made no longer functional or destroyed in some way. I think that it wasn't just this thing that was done to us on this planet. I think it was done elsewhere also, that there was a shiny trinket, a puzzle to solve, a something that was a curiosity trap that drew the attention of the entire Christ network, and that all of it became incapacitated and sluggish in its ability to incinerate lies and untruth, and then became somewhat incapacitated and unable to like get itself out of that situation. And I don't think that it's just sitting there like in a frozen incapacitation state. I actually think that it's not in existence. I think it got destroyed. And I know that these are like difficult topics to talk about. And it also, I will talk a lot, actually. Wow. Some of the other things so I want to talk about Chris's concept about dreams and reality here, but let me also talk about Charlie Kirk, because this is a very, very big thing. This has been on my mind and something I've been placing my tendril of attention on over the past several days, not because I'm interested in any kind of prurient drama or the entertainment for the popcorn eating QAnon crowd. Please do not ever misinterpret me in that way. Charlie Kirk was not even on my radar. I had no idea that this person existed until he was, visibly assassinated in our world. But I now see him and his whole entire entourage as Masonic theater. I hope that there's not any problem with my putting out this video if the things that I'm saying are too incendiary. I have no idea of what are the hot button issues or what one is or is not allowed to say. We all love Big Brother, but basically, I see this as an attempt to do a far right Christian Handmaid's Tale theocracy style takeover, completely reducing the protection of rights that are under the United States Constitution. And that would be, of course, a negative reality. So this is why I'm seeing and sensing some of the negative potentials for the future for this social world that I'm in. And I'm like, no, thank you. Like, I do not wish to participate in that type of world. So here are the most important pieces of information that I can share with you. And this is from my insight, because again, not only do I have an excellent bullshit detector, but I'm up to speed and I incinerate the corrosion and I can tell you what's going on. And if you see, here's what you might see. What you might see is like something you will say, that is a strange or weird or effed up thing that I see. And then you will see something else that is on social media that will be a spell that will say, you didn't just see that thing, or you saw that thing, but it's different than what you thought. And that is assault on Christ, because your insight is Christ. And when you see someone in the world wearing black leather pants and kissing and hugging on someone else, and you think, I think those two people are having sex, and that is not, they're not partners, and they're not supposed to be having sex with each other, and that is not right. You should believe that when you see that. And then when someone else comes along and says, no, you didn't just see that. That's a spell. No, you didn't just see that. And they literally put it across your eyes. This is what I mean by Masonic theater. So here is the truth. Please listen to me. Erica Kirk is a construct, not an ordinary person like you are. You were born, you went to school, you had a career, you are here watching this video now, you have your own volition, you have your own life. But no, she is a person who has been from early years trained and developed in her personality to participate from a family that participates in these types of untruthful displays in the world for purposes of not only self-aggrandizement, but of manipulation of historical events. And so was Charlie Kirk. They both were two fake-ass people who were manufactured and placed together in like pawns on a chessboard. They were positioned socially to have a certain impact on human society, to manipulate people's viewpoint, mind, and emotion in a very untruthful, unhealthy way. And of course, the assassination and aspects of the assassination are also being used to manipulate your mind in an unhealthy way. So when you have this is a good thing that I can use as an example of not only what I'm talking about, but to kind of like help you work through it. Like let's do a workshop. Let's do one together. Okay, we're gonna do one together. So the PSYOP is Charlie Kirk, right? when I initially see it, I'm like, oh, like I think it's like this, but then you're like, wait, there's another layer, right? So you have to keep on peeling back the layer. This is what trying to convey to you. So when you work with your inner eye and your tendril of attention, please be aware that you will encounter layers of truth. And you also want to protect yourself as you touch on these layers of truth. You must, first of all, put up a merkaba as a protection around yourself. It's like saying, like, you want to read the ingredients first, or you want to touch on something lightly, or you want to know about it, but without really having it come inside of you. And please also know that that is a big part of, in your physical senses, what your olfactory sense is supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to smell danger, smell a poison, not actually have to have it get close to you. But if it gets this close to you, you're supposed to be able to smell like, oh, that's poison. Don't put it in your mouth, right? All right. Think of your inner eye in that same sense, that you're supposed to be able to sniff and smell like that's going to be some poisonous stuff. And even if it gets closer, you're like, well, that's poisonous stuff. Don't let it come inside. All right. So don't let it actually come inside of you. So, yeah. And when I go on social media, I'm like, put on the protective gear because you're diving into an ocean of poison. We, of course, intend when we go on social media to actually interact with other alive, embodied, divinely connected people. But it must be recognized, and people here in this class are really smart. A lot of the people that you talk with aren't actually people on social media. A lot of them, there are many manufactured profiles. This is dead internet theory. Manufactured profiles, artificial bots, artificially automated responses by real people who just have some, whatever PR machinery running for them, or real people who are typing with real fingers in the moment, but their minds are connected through dun, 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 to some crazy artificial synthetic telepathy system, and they are not acting right or thinking for themselves. And I haven't been looking at the chat. Let me just touch computer and pull things over. Okay, yeah. All right, good. All right. Just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing important stuff while I was like busy ranting over here. So thank you for that. Sometimes I put the chat to the side so that way I am staying focused. So when you are going to go into social media, please put on your protective Merkaba and tell your cognitive intellect, be selective. Don't just ingest and believe everything that you see here. There's a lot of fake stuff. There's a lot of deep fakes, artificial intelligence generated stuff, and a lot of artificial content. And at this point, you must comprehend that it is not there by accident. So, of course, Twitter, which is now known as X, is the garbage spewing of a very, very diseased mind of a man known as Elon Musk, but he's really connected to something much, much larger. And he totally, inhales the algorithm through his own synthetic telepathy, but also through the W band and through the satellite system has been influencing or inhibiting your own natural mental behavior. And the problem is that ascension and co-creation with the sun requires your natural mental behavior. It requires your freedom. None of this can be done in slavery. None of this can be done through coercion. In your world, you're used to a world where people reproduce where there's no love. Even though sometimes people have love and then they reproduce and they make a beautiful baby, right? It's supposed to be the only way you can have a baby is through love. You are not supposed to be able to have a baby through coercion or mistakes or lies or anything like that. Like, it's supposed to be so super intentional and so highly calibrated that there's no way to just accidentally fall into it or have it happen with someone that you don't absolutely want it to happen with. All right. So you have to understand that. But true creation in a pristine world does not happen by accident, cannot happen through torture, cannot happen through coercion, cannot happen through lies. It must happen through through complete authenticity. I broke for a moment because I was like, oh yeah, I got to tell you that there's a whole chakra devoted to authenticity. Like, you don't have a chakra devoted to authenticity unless that quality of existence is incredibly important for sustaining life. So the chakras are energy systems of your body. Of course, they're all about generating and sustaining life. And the connection of your inner eye, your Christ chakra, to the sun is also essential for sustaining life. So one of the reasons why mortality exists is because there has not been an effective connection between your mind and the sun. A lot of what I teach with Flying Rainbow Lasagna is how to get yourself reconnected to the sun. Because you're going to be like, well, how come all the babies who come here right now don't just connect with the sun and be immortal? before they're 2 or 3 years old, and you teach them language and sit them in front of Sesame Street and teach them that they're going to die one day? How come they don't all just, how come all the children who have been born within the past, 2 or 3 years or whatever, before when they're pre-verbal, haven't just all of a sudden magically ascended? And so there are real answers for this. Within the past 2 or 3 years, got a pretty bad satellite grid, but also there are genetic limitations that were placed in humanity many, many times, many subsequent genetic modifications, and it is necessary to fly nimble lasagna around those limitations, around those obstacles, so that you can accelerate to the point of what we call ascension, remembering that you're an ascended master. And when you're an ascended master, you're not just like, oh, I'm an ascended master. It's like, dumb, dumb. I guess the world is out of my control. You're like, oh, I'm an ascended master. Remember this from last week? I'm God. Oh, I'm God. I can do something. That's the key point. That when people have a self-remembrance and re-identification, the fact that they're God, they don't become megalomaniacs or fall into disempowerment. They actually are caring in recognition of their creation around them. So you're on this journey where you're like, I'm a person and I've been disconnected from God and I've been disconnected from the sun. Oh, I'm building my tendril of attention. I'm reconnecting to the sun. Oh, I'm in co-creation, little old me working with the sun, and we're making reality, making reality, making reality. And then at a certain point, you're like, it's me. Spoiler alert, it's me. I'm making reality. I'm making reality. I'm making reality. And that is a positive thing to recognize, because when you are not insane, you are my good people in my class. You're like, I'm making reality. Like, I'm going to make a good reality. You are going to make a good reality, which again, very, very different than a person who might be like the most whatever wealthy person in the world, who with all of their wealth decides, instead of creating something positive, to create something incredibly negative. But of course, people who are wise know that in order to achieve an enormous amount of wealth and be the wealthiest billionaire in the world, you would already have had to lose your integrity and kiss ass on the AI assimilation system. Can't just be a regular person and get to be a billionaire at that level. And that is absolutely correct. So to say it with less mirth and more clarity, all of the billionaires that you see in this world are not fully in control of their own behavior. Does not mean that they are human beings with $1 billion who can spend it in whatever way they want to. I would even say that they are so compromised and so much no longer in control of their own behavior and have modified their genetics so much that I would even hesitate to put them in the category of human. I don't know if we would say that they are subhuman or unhuman. They're unhuman in some way, but they are not fully in control of their own resources. So you also understand this is not a free pass. They can't be like, oh, it's not my fault. Something else was in my mind. Something else took over my mind and made me an incredibly rich billionaire, and then I did a lot of bad things in the world. It wasn't my fault, and I just lived a lavish lifestyle. Don't blame me. Like, that's not acceptable. Clearly not acceptable. And a lot of these billionaires willingly reduce their own empowerment so that they can be like, don't blame me. I was disempowered. They're like, I'm so limp. I was so disempowered. It's like, well, you did drink a limpness elixir. Like, you did disempower yourself. Like, they drank the black goo. And I've talked about this for a long time. Early adopters. And I don't have to be, limiting in my language at all. I've been talking about this from 2017, 2016, and earlier. You want to take over a planet, you do this, you do it like this. You get your black goo together and you approach the influencers and thought leaders and potential business leaders of the future, and you offer it to them. And if they will take it, then they become willing participants assimilated into the Borg, and their neurology and their cell structures are not assaulted by the black goo. But if you're a political dissident and you don't like the AI and you don't want to be a part of that world, and you don't want the black goo inside of you, then they give you the bad black goo. You guys all got the bad black goo, which is the stuff that like punches through your membranes and tries to hurt your body and drives you insane. It tries to bring you down. Like, you got the bad stuff, which is good, because none of you are evil a-holes. Good job not being evil. And also, of course, I've taught you for many years how to clear the stuff out of your body. In many ways, it has been a war of attrition where you have had to effort very, very much just in order to keep dog paddling, keep afloat, keep your little fins going, so that way you can just stay afloat and not be assimilated into this artificial, synthetic, telepathic, grid, artificial reality. I also call it the hot tub from hell. I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit already casual in my presentation here. And please never think that I'm not serious when I talk to you in this way. But when I call it the hot tub from hell, it is because, like, when you get into a hot tub, like, if one person has toenail fungus, you now all have toenail fungus. It is a cauldron of microbes shared amidst participants. All right. So for many of these very, very evil assimilated people, once they assimilate, they're in the hot tub from hell. All of their soul microbes swoosh together in a gross, bubbling mass of sin and insecurities and wickedness. And they all share in their own badness, but they try to do that in order to have collective escapism from responsibility, right? Like, to dilute, the hot tub will dilute the responsibility toenail fungus, but instead it just means they are all responsible. So please know, in spite of my lightheartedness, very serious stuff, they're all responsible for their behavior, responsible for participation, responsible for the end results of their behavior. Okay. Elon Musk and the satellites are absolutely connected to Charlie Kirk and Eric Kirk and the Masonic theater that our world has been subjected to. And I do laugh, and laughter is a powerful tool. Just like the laser beam taking away the corrosion, laughter can help you to break the tension, the emotional tension. Humor can also be used to, and lightheartedness, to be strong in a battle, in a difficult time, and to stand up, even in things that are intimidating. And also laughter breaks spells. So when I am making fun of, like, the skin tight black leather morning pants, I am not merely trying to diminish a particular person. I am not just being a mean girl in high school, picking on someone. None of this has that energy. This is the energy of, like, the child who makes fun of the emperor with no clothes. This is a myth. It's a fairy tale where he's like, ha ha, like, you're walking around naked. And everyone else is like, what are you talking about? Don't be so mean. You have to speak the truth of what your insight tells you. This is authenticity and your higher connection here. And when you do that, it is transformative in our world. All right. So, and at this point, what is happening is really not even a metamorphosis where one person who is not so good turns into someone who is good. It's really just a separation. People who are good and innately respectful and generous and have a chance to graduate are being separated out from people who do not have a chance and who are innately unworthy of being able to participate on a level of divine connection and hyperconnectivity. And that must be recognized. And this is like, you're in this moment of, like, almost complete friction right now, where a hot front meets a cold front, where those of you who are accelerating, getting faster, and trying to get closer to divinity, and trying to get so close and to divinity and so accelerated that you actually identify with divinity, as opposed to the ones who are trying to evade responsibility and be like, I didn't make reality. It's not my fault. I didn't hurt those people. It's not my fault. I didn't erect that satellite grid and fry those brains. It's not my fault. Even though they did it, look at my face. So mad at them because they did it. And what they're going to try to do is say, it's not my fault. I was infested by an AI at the time. It's not my fault. I'm like, it's your fault. And also, they wanted to be infested by the AI. You guys didn't want to be infested by the AI, and you work as a very, very perfect foil or contrast or example to say, well, not everybody, not 100% of the participants on this planet got infested. They sprinkled black goo on top of everybody's breakfast cereal. Everybody ate the same black goo. This is like what's falling from the sky, right? Chemtrail fallout. And not everybody went insane and joined the Borg. Not everybody became Taylor Swift. Not everybody became Elon Musk. Taylor Swift is a billionaire. You're like, why are you ragging on her? Where I mean, like, I know maybe her music isn't that great or blah, blah, blah. But believe me, she was not on my radar until she became a billionaire. And I'm like, that is not normal. And then you recognize that there's something else that is in that person, that it's really the artificial system is inhabiting that person who has totally, become a husk, and then they are rewarding themselves. So Elon Musk, and I call him Elon Husk, like he's not really a person anymore, but there's an empty shell. And so, I mean, you're at that level of maximum friction because you only have empty shells. Like the people that are those billionaires, they are not a person with a conscience, a sense of human decency, a sense of right and wrong, and a sense of morality to respond to the very bad things that they have done. All right. And so also talking about Amazon guy, Jeff Bezos, the Amazon cloud has been directly affecting each one of your own bodies. If you wonder why did people in your neighborhood get sick and die, it's because of the Amazon cloud, because signals were routed through innocent people's bodies and also sometimes their pets that gave them heart attacks and sometimes, the CANC type of disease. And I did that weird little delivery there because I am not sure if the captured platform that is run by the Alphabet Agency that has a red symbol with the little yellow, the little triangle inside of it there, little white triangle inside of there. I don't know if that agency will allow me to talk about that disease anymore, because when I did it in the past, I had problems with strikes for medical misinformation. So, of course, we only talk about fictional diseases and spell them weirdly and mime things in order to talk about these things. All right. And it's even still pretty amazing that we have this amount of clarity and self-expression and articulation and inner freedom to be able to have these conversations, because believe me, like they wanted what was the, destruction from ancient Atlantis, which is when you can't even think enough with your own mind to consider if you are a slave. Like they wanted that level of turn on and when the satellites turn on, you become an automaton and a slave. That is what they wanted. That is not what they got, but that is what they wanted. So, cheers to incompetence. Cheers. Then hold on, let me hydrate a little bit here. Cheers to their incompetence, right? I know I'm blending the very, very long explanation from Chris's question and the curriculum, but I think it's actually going in the direction we need to go. Thank you for letting me freeform on this, because I'm definitely diverging from my notes. When you are connected to the sun, you're supposed to be connected like a live stream in real time, and you're supposed to know that you're the sun the whole entire time, and you're supposed to live in the wonderment of that moment. I'll really approach that a lot of the time, not 100% of the time, because there is this satellite grid. And also sometimes now I'm very embattled or sometimes distracted. So I don't want you, again, to think that I'm a perfect person, whatever, without, distraction or never watching Netflix or something like that. But I have moments and long periods where I'm like amazed by photosynthesis, the sensory experience of my body, what it feels like to walk around in the world. And I'm in utter gratitude for the miracle of being. And I try to maximize those times in my life. And I would also encourage you to do the same. When you guys look in the mirror, I keep on telling you this. When you look in the mirror, please don't pick yourself apart or look only at your flaws or, any of the things that people do. Please look in the mirror and talk to yourself and say, I'm a miracle. All right. Look in the mirror and tell yourself you're a miracle. Look at yourself through the eyes and through the interpretation system that you are a miraculous creature and you're in a miraculous world. And that is truthful. The detractors that I've mentioned and given a lot of verbal energy to here today, of course, they don't think that the world is a miracle. They don't love themselves. They don't look at themselves as if they are a miracle. And the key point is all the bad stuff that they erected in the world was to take you away from your own miraculous nature and make you feel less miraculous. Everything that I'm trying to do is to try to revivify that or bring you back to or remind you of your own miraculous nature and get you kind of up and running on using your wish making and your dreaming capacity effectively. So the curriculum for today is about co-creating reality with the sun. And I told you the levels of evolvement, that's not the right word, evolution, the levels of evolution go. So, okay, you're like down in the bottom, you're like in the garbage bin because they changed you, genetically modified you, and you're disconnected from God. And then you start to do your sun gazing and get the energy and your chakras realigned so that now you're connecting with the world of pure light and the sun again. And you start to accelerate your energetic metabolism. We also talked about emotional processing and what it is to be on a pilgrimage and how all of that is part of increasing your energetic metabolism. And then when you are fully connected to the sun and the stars through the tendril of attention that you build through your efforts, you become a co-creative partner. So you used to be disenfranchised or disempowered and feel like I'm just a ping pong ball or flotsam and jetsam floating on the waves of life. Then you become connected to the sun and you talk to the sun and you're like, hey, sun, like life is not okay down here, blah, blah. I got these different problems. And then the sun is going to be like, okay, thank you for that information. Here's a bunch of neutrinos. Here's a coronal mass ejection. Here's some cool consciousness energy. Please eat it. Let it flow into your toroidal energy centers and go in a better direction. And let's talk in a few hours at sunset. Or let's talk tomorrow, when I sunrise again. Let's reconnect. And then as you develop that rhythm between yourself and the sun, and you accelerate, get even faster, what happens is the sun gives you an idea and it immediately manifests. And you're feeling like, wow, like the sun told me this and I thought this inside. And then the thing happened in external reality, a blending of the outside and the inside. You see, I know it sounded like I was far afield and I wasn't going to tie it all together, but I tied it all together. Blending of the outside and the inside. So what ascension is, here's that little painting up here. What the act of flying rainbow lasagna is, what the giant portal that we went through or soul migration that we went through a couple of days ago is the blending of the inside and the outside. And so when you're dreaming, you're not really in control of yourself. Your sub and unconscious desires come forward. I don't encourage people to drink alcohol at all. I don't think it's good, but it is similar to the things that happen when people's self-defenses and rational self-control is removed through alcohol use. Your true nature comes out, okay? So when you're dreaming, like you might have a lot of self-control, right? But if you're not in control of yourself, then you're like, you know what I want to do? I want to eat the whole chocolate bar, whatever it is. And then you do it because you're either intoxicated or because you're dreaming or you're asleep. So it's important to note that. Like, it doesn't mean that you're evil. It just means you're like, anybody wants to eat the whole chocolate bar. We all want to do this. So portion control matters, guys. It just means don't bring the whole chocolate bar to wherever you're eating. Just like take a piece. And that way, because we all know like it's hard to control yourself, okay? So I'm trying to say this in like the most silly way. All of us have on and subconscious desires. That is fine and that is healthy. My dog would eat the world if she could. She's not allowed to. We all would like to eat like the most amount of cookies and chocolate that we possibly could. It's not allowed. You have to limit yourself. But the sub and unconscious desires are something that we have. But some people's sub and unconscious desires are pathogenic and unacceptable. For example, some people want to rape other people. Trigger alert, sorry. But that is not an acceptable sub or unconscious desire. So to, want to, whatever, violate other people or steal from people, doing things that are socially unacceptable. So yeah, no, eating too much snack food is one thing, but harming another person or a living creature is quite a different thing. And when people are in dreaming and their rational intellect is not engaged, their uncontrolled desires do come forward. And it's really important for planetary ascension that the uncontrolled desires of pathogenic creatures or organisms or people don't become manifested. And I want you to know that there is an inborn protection in the fabric of space-time so that garbage thoughts and garbage people do not garbage up the cosmic infrastructure. Like if it was like a completely level playing field where everybody has whatever one like whatever you call it, a cosmic request form, and you're going to write like I want this to happen, and that's your one request. If it was a equal playing field where every single organism had one wish or whatever it was, and it all got granted, you'd have someone like a crazy effing evil person like Elon Musk that would write like, I wish to destroy the world and then put that forward and be like, okay, great, you get your wish. Like, no, the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is no because you're not allowed to do these bad things. So the to say it in proper terms, when you are consciously co-creating, you create a thought seed, like a potential to germinate the world. And it contains all of your thoughts and desires that then come forward and flower into a plant. But you have to put that seed into a vibrating field. And that vibrating field is exactly what I have on my shirt and what I spend so much time lovingly painting. It is the vibrating mind of God. It is the harmonic perfection of all of these force fields. All right. So you make your thought seed and then ka-chunka, wah, put it into the force field. And then it emanates outward from there and it creates a reality. But sometimes someone creates a very, very bad thought seed that might say something in it like, I wish for the end of the world. I do not wish for the end of the world. Negate that. Or it might say something like, I don't want it, but, want to destroy things or want to end things or whatever. And put that into garbage stuff. Garbage in the seed. Put that into the vibrating field. The vibrating field is not going to be like, oh, good job. I'm going to germinate some garbage now. No, it is actually selective. And it's like, this looks like a bunch of garbage. No, the seed will not germinate. Important for you to know that. Let's take a moment, brief pause, and also let's do a little pause. I will feed Cheeky. We will have food. We will have hugs. Everybody have a nice little break. Wait, first let's hug Cheeky. First hugging, because everybody loves to see you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Cheeky's doing great. All right, thank you. Let's take a little 2-minute break. 2-minute break. Thank you for understanding, and we'll return to my unformed rant. Let me take care of Cheeky. So we do not want to have pathogenic contributions to the time field. And the vibrating field has a selectivity or a filter to make certain that it just does not do what they call in computer world garbage in, garbage out. It's very selective. Some things it's like, these are terrible ideas. And I, as the divine vibrating field, will not emanate or magnify those ideas going forward. All right. So I want you to know that because for yourself, you might be worried about playing the wrong note in the symphony of life. You are good people and you're trying to think the right thoughts. And you might be afraid, like, oh no, what if I put this thought into my world seed and then that gets magnified and then I screwed everything up? Please know that there is an effective limitation filter that's not going to just allow something that was casually from your inattentiveness, casual nature, or some other like small mistake to destroy the entire fabric of space-time. That's not going to happen. So be secure in that. Feel good in that. And the fabric of space-time has many, many immune system protections from not only small mistakes, but even from attempted hijacking and attempted hacking. Dark magic is really hacking of the time field. It is really a misaccess, in unallowed access, an unauthorized access of the time field, intentionally done by those who should never attempt to create reality. And they are so wrong in their value system. They know that it's wrong. They're like, ooh, I can't wait to hijack reality and make a whole bunch of bad things happen. So of course, reality is never going to open up for them. Reality is never going to be like, come on in, do a bunch of bad stuff to everyone else through me. Reality is going to be like, no soup for you. So they want to say hide themselves, but it's really like use artifice and impostorship and other forms of false light to try to hack the system and get in. And this is pretty much, the ongoing story of reality, but not the eternal story of reality. So it is finite. It is not normal to have a system that is continually under assault to hackers. I told you about that in terms of how people look at Bitcoin, that they say, if it's a robust system, hack away, let the hackers hack. And then I'm sure the system, if it is worthy, will be able to withstand that. And I'm like, no, you can't do that, because you know what? Every system has vulnerabilities. Every system can be compromised. If you have even a very, very strong system, or like DNA or life, it is still vulnerable and fragile. You can't just subject it to the greatest stress tests and expect it to still be there. And that even includes something like your diamond body, and that even includes something like a physical diamond. Here in my imaginary diamond reality, this is actually worth more to me than a regular carbon diamond. But imagine that is my carbon diamond, is my diamond. I wave at you. But even if it was a carbon diamond, it can still get burned. That you could burn a diamond. If you have a blowtorch strong enough, you can destroy a diamond. So you should not simply say, make an unhackable system. Make a diamond that can't be burned, because it's made of carbon. Like, logs in the fire are made of carbon, all right? Like, there's not a way to make something that can't get burned, that can't get harmed in some way. That's erroneous. Because this really speaks about your spiritual attainment. Some of the flawed New Age assessments are kind of like, well, just be undevourable, be uneatable. Let them put up their satellite systems. Be, uncorrosive, uncorroded. Be not affected by it. And I think that is bullshit. I think that it is very, very fair to say that there are limits to systems, including your own personal protection system, and that you should not be stress tested, and that you should not have to be putting forth enormous amounts of effort just not to be incinerated, by this 5G network, so that way you can even have like a mediocre secular half existence, not even a fully expansive consciousness experience in pure freedom. And the experience in pure freedom you haven't had for the past 5 years because you have had this limitation. And the limitation is not because of you, good people, that you aren't allowed to think what you want to think, but it is the limitation imposed on you by those who would like to destroy you and to co-opt your dream. So like, there's someone bad in the dream right now. You're running from scary clowns, but here's what you have to know. These scary clowns, like, you didn't dream them up. I did not dream up Elon Musk. The truth is he exists in this dream, and his existence predates my entry into this dream as Aurora. I don't have to take responsibility for him and his crapitude. All right. And nor do you. So please know that there are some things within the consensual daily five senses dream of reality that you're not directly responsible for because they're grandfathered in. So some things. So our current, now I'm getting more into part two. Chris's part two question says, so when we are live with you in class, like now at this moment, are we dreaming, quote unquote, or are we in reality? And the answer is, of course, right now, the human consensual mind would say, you are in five senses reality. You are not dreaming. And then I would say that is truthful, but you have been in a lasagnified, semi-permeable reality for a very long amount of time. So that means that you've been in a amalgamation of energy and matter, or matter that responds to consciousness and is sentient for many, many years. And that at this point, like, you're not in a fully lasagnified reality because of gross, horrible things that I despise, but that soon you will be. Soon you will be in a beautiful flying rainbow lasagna, full on lasagna reality, where the inside reflects the outside and the outside feeds into the inside, and it's a seamless integration. So in my seamless integration, I would be like, sky crapola, sky poops, flush, flush the sky poops. And I would do that first thing in the morning. What do? Get rid of doo-doos first thing in the morning and flush them all away. Yes, and then we'd have a beautiful, expansive day. So please know that we are all in a process right now of regaining control over reality and regaining the ability to fine-tune, like put in the things that you want and erase out the things that you don't want in order to have an optimized experience. So let's also talk about the different, and I'll want to get more into the answer to Chris's question because this really does relate to us. But let's also talk about your capacity to control a dream and your capacity to control reality. To the conventional mind, a person would say both of these levels of your life are out of your control. This is the deterministic mind, the mind that says, I'm disconnected from the sun. Someone else writes this script and I'm just an actor or an actress like Shakespeare playing on the stage. All the world's a stage. And someone else is in charge. Not my job, not my fault, right? And some people would say that the world is, your expression, and people who are willing to take more responsibility and for the way that their mind is influencing their life and the creation of the basic narrative of their life. But also, some people, like you guys, are willing to take more responsibility for how you go through the choose your own adventure novel of your life, decision making and choice points, how you navigate the potentials where you might be over here like some kind of a drug addict axe murderer, or over here as your true divine self. But of course, that is a hyperbolic simplification, and you guys know that because you're really smart and you're good students. You are having a big impact on where you are in the time field, but still a script that someone else wrote. But then at a certain point, when you lasagna, you're not just a musician in the band responding to or playing notes that someone else has written. You actually get to be much more of a script writer, or I like to call it being the auteur of your existence. So that means like when you make a movie and you are the person who writes the script, you're also the director, you are also costume design, you are also lighting, you are also food prep and craft services, like your makeup, your hair, your everything. You are the everything, making it happen. And when you are that, there is no way to kind of hide behind the hot tub from hell and say, don't blame me for this bad movie. Think of the worst movie you've ever seen, whatever. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, or Howard the Duck, or whatever it is. The worst, most renowned bad films of reality. Like, that's not my stinker. I didn't make that. It's someone else's fault. They made it. But when you are the author of reality, you have to take responsibility for the narratives that you've created. And this goes very much beyond facile, anthropocentric interpretations of like self-empowerment and Instagram inspirational quotes that are like, take responsibility for your life and other things like that. Again, they are simplified or reductionist and not really talking about the complexities of what is happening here. Some people are not yet in a connected reality state to the sun, and it's difficult for them to take responsibility for their lives, even though they must. Some people are much more in a co-creative state, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm thinking thoughts that I'm getting from the sun. These coronal mass ejections are giving me all these thoughts and ideas. Like, where do you think you get your thoughts and ideas from? Hopefully from the sun. Hopefully not from some gross AI or something that is pathogenic. And I don't know where they get their thoughts from, because I want to say, like, I don't want to delve into like doo-doos and gross things. But like, I don't know. Who writes that stuff? I certainly don't. It doesn't come from my mind. Stuff that's nightmarish. Like, there's stuff that's mediocre and gross. Then there's also stuff that is literally nightmarishly bad. Like Stephen King stuff about like blood and guts and death and horror. Who writes that? Not me. It does not come from my mind. I'm telling you, I don't have the capacity to write that stuff. I've never seen those movies, and I don't want to because I find them very, very distressing. So no murder movies and true crime and things like that for me. I've watched plenty of superhero shows that do have blood in them, but that's very different than like these, like true crime pathological dramas that are about like why people do terrible things. So you know what I mean? And some people are very focused on the looking into darkness and comprehending the motivation of why people do bad things. I'm like, I don't even want to delve. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't need to know. Just know that it exists. And this is what I would say to you because why? Because your tendril of attention does touch on things and ingest small amounts of them. And I think that it is really, really important for you as good people not to focus your tendril of attention too much on the corruption of the world, because I think that it can have an impact on you. Not that you would become corrupt, but I think that it's like, I think it can make your sourdough starter go bad. I mean, you leave your sourdough starter out and it's supposed to get positive, microbes that grow it and make it positive and good. But then sometimes you can get stuff in there and it can get mold or other things that whatever will kill you if you eat it, and you don't want to don't want to do that. So I don't think that you guys will become Stephen King evil, corrupt, or at the level of any of the billionaires that I've mentioned here today. I don't think that that is a challenge, but I think that your good sourdough starter of your imagination and your hopes for the future can get tainted or corrupted by having bad stuff come into your mind. All right. And that can be anything from like their bad ideas about what the food supply should be like or what medical care should be like, putting bad poison into the food and poison into the medicine and poisoning people and harming the world. Or what if you have a great idea where you're like, I'm going to start a thing, and someone else poisons your mind and they're like, you're never going to do that thing. You're not allowed to do that thing. Your thing will never succeed. Stop doing your thing. Don't let that happen. So when you use your tendril of attention, don't touch too much on the dark side. Let's talk about Pizzagate. This was in 2016, and it was actually something that was a positive and natural, organic use of people's own tendril of attention to recognize and uncover darkness. And it actually was whatever, not citizens journalism, but like many people researching together, having a collective experience of solving puzzles, bringing forward more information about darkness, and really to destroy the foe, not merely to say, look at these bad things, or having a prurient interest in seeing degraded sexual things or something that is it's a word for sex that is not normal. Not just that, but really for wanting to change the world, like wanting to, sorry, I'm having so much difficulty with my mind, with wanting to make the situation better, not just wanting to watch a train wreck or point fingers at something that is grotesque, but to fix and change the situation. Okay. But the problem is that many people focused so much on the substance of the topic of Pizzagate, which is, again, spoiler alert, not spoiler, but trigger warning, and maybe not for all family members here, but things that are about sexual violence and abuse, and especially sexual violence towards young people, and how this is systemically woven into the tapestry of, government and high levels of finance throughout our world, and how that is part of the economy of hell. So that's why it was gratifying to me that so many people's minds were opened in 2016. It became something that was more overt and more people knew about it. But the problem with that is, as more people focused their tendrils of attention on it, they ingested it into themselves. And they didn't necessarily do it like, I'm going to ingest. Okay, now I'm going to process it. I know that stuff exists. I'm going to stay away from that stuff. That's what you should do. Like if there's an allergen and you start to smell the allergen, you're going to sneeze and you're going to be like, achoo, achoo. There's something here I don't like. How about I move away from that irritant? How about I move away from that thing that I don't like? Okay. But what a lot of people did instead was they dove into it and they totally immersed themselves in the irritant, and they became so inflamed and so allergic to the irritant that they kind of became incapacitated, thinking like, this is never going to change. It's a bit too big. How am I going to do this? Feeling very, very bad, and became literally like incapacitated. And that doesn't help. That doesn't help the situation. So what some people call black pilled, a reduction of hope. a sense that there's no capacity for things to actually get better. Do you understand? As you touch with your tendril of attention, and you hear there's layers. There's like the first veneer, the second veneer, the next layer, the next layer, the next layer, and then finally the truth. And as you get to these layers of truth, some people go on that journey and they come to a conclusion that is not an accurate conclusion, but that's black pilled. What they say is there's no hope. And they are using accurate information and accurate insight in order to draw erroneous conclusions. Like if I tell you like, oh yeah, like everyone in the fictionally, let's go into book club, everyone. In my book club, everyone in the FBI is like a raging maniac a-hole, completely harming everyone else and abusing power. And it's fictional, of course. And they sorry, I'm definitely trying to collect my thoughts as I'm trying to articulate this. Wow. Because you know that it's something that's not the power structure's favorite thing for me to be able to talk about here. So that's why it was very, very difficult for me to get that thought out. Terrible. I will return to it. It's so bad when you get a mind wipe. Of course, it's because you're criticizing the system. Thank you for understanding, and I will return to it. Terrible. Thank you. You're trying to help me out. You're like, hey, wait, it was about this. Thank you. All right. Um, okay, I'll start from a different direction and we'll return to the same conclusion. Um, you guys are supposed to be creating reality with your mind because you're good people. Evil guys in the FBI are not supposed to be creating reality with their minds because they're evil people. Doesn't matter if they've created a synthetic telepathy grid or some way to be able to access your creative energy, or even to try to pick up your musculoskeletal muscles and to erase or add to the painting of life. They are not here to add to the painting of life. So this is one of the foundational assertions of dark magic that we are crushing and destroying. Not everybody here has equal access to the time field. The time field is like the sacred reality scrolls narrative, and not everybody gets to write a script and not everybody gets to write a narrative. It is not an equal playing field. It is not something where everybody gets to, put something in the soup and add their flavor to it. Far from it. You must go through an extensive series of, you must become cultivated and display your worthiness to make a contribution, to be able to have your contribution spread outward into the world and immortalized. So you have right now in your world, artificially and erroneously, a lot of unworthy participants with not well cultivated minds, sending forward their harmful and pathogenic views and expectations of the future in order to try to create things that would serve them, or to try to create things that are their creations. And also they have created an inhibitory network to prevent you from creating your own creations. That's an important thing to recognize. The satellite grid is an inhibitory network to you, but an amplification network to them. That's on purpose. Black pilled was the thing that we were talking about before, and I'm so sorry that it was like literally wiped from my mind as I was trying to tell you about it. Some people think as they look at all of these different layers of reality, draw the wrong conclusions. There's nothing you can do. There's a lot that you can do. So now you understand why the control structure would be like, no, don't tell them about black pilling. Let them labor under their delusions. So it's not the best response. It is, I think, definitely like a learned helplessness or something like that. When people are like, all this, I'm using my insight and I'm ingesting all these things, and all these things are making me feel allergic. That's it. The world is effed, and there's nothing I can do. That is what black pilling is. And it is basically such an over inundation of valid truth from your insight that makes it appear as if there is no hope when there actually is hope. So, if you believe there is no hope, of course, you will fulfill your belief and there will be no hope for you and there will be nothing you can do. But if you believe that you have capacities like flying rainbow lasagna and you can innovate and write new reality structures, you can write new reality structures. And everything that we've been doing here in this world has been really struggling over like who has the quill pen to be able to write reality structures. The stuff over here, this stuff is a type of reality overlay, a false quill that is used to create and write false realities. And it impacts on you because something is trying to have a false impact upon you and your life. So here's the litmus test. Like as soon as something directly affects you, you're like, hey, this is having an effect on my life. I think I get to do something about it. If it's having an impact on your life, if it's going to have an impact on your life, you can anticipate that and act in a preemptive way. And also, what if it's going to have a tangential effect on your life? A potential peripheral effect on your life? You can still do something about it. So, DNA is connected. Anything that anyone is doing to DNA anywhere has a direct impact on your life. DNA is non-local. The mind is non-local. Consciousness is non-local. Light is non-local. And when we really start to look at the world in that sense, then you recognize that it is not about a person's individual right or conveniences. I'm looking out for number one, but it is really about the larger system that you live within and balancing out what you want for yourself and the larger system that you live within. And you can't just create capricious or self-serving or arbitrary narratives and structures. So look at me, like there's a lot of bad stuff that was grandfathered in. I came in here in 2001 and I'm like, well, there's a lot of gross garbage here. Wouldn't it be nice if I could magic wand? Wave my magic wand, poof, all of that garbage, like instantaneously poof away. Like we could have saved 24 years and, had a much cooler experience. How come I can't do that? Like there is such a thing as causality structure. It would have been a weaker space-time continuum. It was like, oh yeah, and then one day Aurora, flying rainbow lasagna, came into experience and was, it instantaneously, magic wanded, and then this thing happened. If there's not a real causality structure, it actually is a very flimsy reality bubble. The reality bubble that you're in right now is super flimsy because I heard some of you with your mind say, well, Aurora, like we live in a flimsy reality bubble right now. Like, why not make a nice flimsy reality bubble? Because the world of mortality is a flimsy construct that doesn't even have real genetic connection. Here's you in Atlantis, and then all of a sudden, here's you here. And there is no genetic connection between those two places. This is actually a giant causality problem, and you are in a flimsy reality bubble. But let's say this, just because you live in a poorly constructed house right now does not mean that I want to construct the next house that you're living in a similarly flimsy way. Okay, let's think about it in those ways. Let's use our building materials in an effective way, and let's definitely make sure to create lasting reality structures. This is what I mean when I say longevity and coherence. It means to me lasting reality structures, stuff that is real, stuff that is truthful, stuff that is not arbitrary, stuff that is not merely imaginative or whimsical, and stuff that's going to last. These are real math, real things the way they are supposed to happen. So the things that I have decried here today vociferously and, whatever, a lot in how I'm talking to you many different times, because I just don't want to give endless verbal recognition to them. These things are not adding to your reality. And you want to know, like, do you make them happen? Are you responsible? You're like, well, these bad satellites, like who pooped them into the sky? This guy over here, but who invented that guy? Who gave him the ideas? Did you give him the ideas? Now you have to recognize you're in a non-pristine system where there are some bad ideas that should not even be in existence. And each one of us has to make a real effort to not ingest and emit bad ideas. And some people are doing a terrible job of that. They are doing nothing but ingest bad ideas and then act on those bad ideas. And this is why your world looks so effing garbage. Okay. The thing that you're supposed to do is ingest good ideas. Coronal mass ejections are good ideas. This is food that comes to us from the sun. It comes from the sun, but it also comes from the galactic center. Cheeky is barking over here, so let me just give her a little bit of a hug. Wait, where are you? We might have to take you out. Let's see. You have a little bit of a hug. So it comes from the sun, but it's not like it like comes from the center of the sun. Like, water comes from a well. It comes from the center of, the bottom of the ground. I mean, the sun is connected to a lot of other stuff. So the ideas that come from the sun actually come from other forms of really, really high intelligence. And those other forms of supreme intelligence feed the sun. This is another big thing. People think like the sun feeds you. The sun can't ever be hungry or need to be fed. That is not truthful. That is the viewpoint of like a tiny infant. That is like, oh, mom feeds me. Mom can never be hungry, right? Like food goes in here. Food comes from the booby. Mom can never be hungry. Like in order for mom to feed you, mom has to be fed too. You got it? So in order for the sun to feed you with beautiful ideas, the sun must also be fed with beautiful ideas. Some of those ideas come from larger structures like the galaxy, the galactic center, and beyond. Like that's Bed Bath and beyond, all right? But also, some of this stuff that feeds the sun comes from us. We're in a beautiful partnership. And when you start to really expand your identity, it is not that you are feeding something that is other than yourself, you are feeding yourself. So the sun is self and it is feeding you. And then you are yourself feeding the sun. So when I was talking about that several weeks ago, and Chris asked about this, like reality and a dream, and whether I'm the sun or whether I'm Aurora, and what level of reality that we're in right now, the answers are like, you're the sun as an abstract being of light, feeding yourself in this reality. You're the dreamer or the emanator of reality potentials, creating the physicality structure and time field within which these narratives play out. And you're also the physical person creating your body, the human interactions and the interpretation structures, like your system of perception and how you interpret reality and the unformed reality abstracts, but also your flying rainbow lasagna. That means that in this moment, as an individual, you are powerful to create new realities. And you don't have to be like, one day I'll graduate and I'll become the sun. Like, one day I'll grow up and then I'll make good realities too. Like, make those realities now. But it does not mean that you are 100% in control of your reality. You are working towards that level of empowerment because it's important for you to know you're not a failure. If you're like, well, that's a fine rainbow lasagna. Like, how come there's still this garbage here? Did I fail? Did I not do a good job? And I'm like, you did a good job. It is incremental. So when you dance the flying rainbow lasagna, you're writing better reality structures, genetic structures for yourself and for everyone that you care about and all the good people in this world. And when you do that, you have changed and improved the world, but it's not one and done. You have to change it incrementally. So, okay, here is a ocean going vessel. It's like a ship at sea and it's going like this, but you can't just be like, go like this. Now go like this. Like, ocean going vessels cannot make a 90-degree angle. They have to turn in an arc. And so what they do is they start going, they're like, oh, we're going to have to turn. So that means we have to turn a little bit. And then we're going to turn a little bit more. And then we're going to turn a little bit more. Like that's how boats go around something. When you are steering through time, you have to make incremental shifts. Each time you do the flying rainbow lasagna, you're making a shift towards your optimized personal timeline. And then the more of you that are doing flying rainbow lasagna, and of course I am doing it, you can see the picture up there, working with shifting the entire planet. So let's talk about like good stuff. The soul migration on Tuesday went very well. We had some magnitude 42 on a scale of 1 to 10, magnitude 42 time waves. That's amazing. And we were working with larger galactic currents organizing life on very, very high levels. And that's, positive and good and gratifying. But these are incremental shifts. So we were able to incrementally shift ourselves and do flying rainbow lasagna for many, many years and then make it to Tuesday and then shift. And then we don't stop. It's not like, oh, like, I think I'll go on vacation. My responsibilities are completely done. I will sit in a chair drinking coconut umbrella drink and do no more lasagna. It's all done. And you know that that's not true. What do I tell you? I do it every day. And actually, oh, I do need to open up the door for Cheeky. Hold on 1 second. The offshoot. Here we go. I'm going to open the door for you, girl. You can go outside. She's going to bark at my neighbor. The offshoot of all of this is not like, oh, now that you've finished flying your lasagna, you've mopped the floor, you're done for forever, you never have to lasagna again, and now you can just sit, in laziness. No, the actual upshoot of all of this is that you lasagna continually, because the lasagna is not merely a response to that which is imperfect. It is not merely a scrubbing tool cleaning up the joint. Like, this place is garbage. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Shovel a bunch of garbage out of the way. No. And that's actually a very, very, like, not respectful way of thinking of the lasagna. Think of it as a Stradivarius. And you're not going to use a Stradivarius to kind of like, whatever, like scrape mashed potatoes out of your cooking pan because it needs to get cleaned. No, you'd be like, I cringe. Don't do that. No. What do you do with Stradivarius? Treat it very, very, very well. So the Stradivarius of the lasagna is actually made to fine tune and change and improve reality. It is actually meant for generative purposes. It's been difficult for you to have the clarity and the freedom to be able to even do reality generation because there's so much garbage that you've had to do a lot of cleanup first. In your own body, you've had to do a lot of cleanup. So some of this is negating, overriding, or neutralizing non-life affirmative characteristics in your own body. Now you have to get to overriding, neutralizing, or removing the non-life affirmative characteristics or people or organizations in your world. Years ago, I asked myself, is it possible to ascend with baggage? This is like 2019 or so, kind of before the big pandemic crisis. And the answer that I came up with is yes, you can ascend with baggage. I've spoken about this in class many times, that ascension is portrayed in the spiritual community as something that you experience when you're perfect. Like, I'm perfect. Oh, I'm ascending. I'm there. I'm done. As opposed to like, maybe you still have some kind of thing that you haven't worked out, whatever, trauma. You have a trauma that you didn't work out, or, a fear, a phobia. Can you ascend with a trauma? Can you ascend with a phobia? How about with hatred? Be like, I'm totally ascended, but I hate that guy. Like, because the idea that has been portrayed is that you're going to be like going up, like floating upward gently. But then if you have the wrong thought, that you're going to somehow crash down hard, like, because maybe you thought like, I hate that guy. And then God is going to be like, thou shalt not, and crash you down. Like, this is not what ascension is. All of those thoughts are erroneous. And for the past 5 years, you have been subjected to synthetic telepathy, ascension, waterboarding. Waterboarding is what the CIA does to people. Oh, goodbye, Dick Cheney, by the way. To people that they don't like, to try to torture and coerce them into confessions and other forms like that. And it's where they do like suffocation and then let you breathe for a couple of seconds and then suffocation again and drowning and then breathe for a couple of seconds. This is what you've had for the past 5 years with ascension. You're like getting technologically suffocated. Then you can have ascension for 5 seconds. Get your breath. Be like, my will to live is returning. Then technological suffocation again. So people who are black-pilled are like totally choking, can't barely get any air, and think that there's no hope. But then don't worry, the technological control grid will like release the tension, release the waterboarding tension, and then they'll be like, I was feeling so bad before, but I'm feeling so much better now. Hope is returning. But then they'll be like, call it in, like, push that guy's Nintendo buttons. He's starting to feel hope again. Reducing hope, urge to die returning. I'm being so silly and facetious, like suicide ideation returns. But really, We have to joke about it because it's the truth of what is happening. Spiritual waterboarding, the torture of going up and think that you're okay, but then you get crashed down again. Up, you think you're okay, but then you're crashed down again. None of that is natural. I can tell you because I know what real ascension is supposed to be. Real ascension is supposed to be a natural acceleration. But what you've had is a parasite that every time you start to accelerate, it's been like draining energy off of you. So you're like, oh, I'm getting better. And then it drains energy. You're like, oh, I'm not getting better. Then you get faster again. I'm getting better. Drains energy. I'm not getting better. So the answer to all of that is not to give up hope, but it is to destroy the parasites. Destroy the parasites. And you destroy the parasites. And also, I want you to know you got to claw back your energy. Take back your energy. If they have slowed down your ascension or inhibited you in any way from your time acceleration and your inner metabolic increase in empowerment and divine connection, you must regain that energy. Because if they stole 10 units of your personal energy and slowed you down 10, whatever, energetic miles per hour, 10 spiritual miles per hour, then you're 10 miles off your game. And what if they took more than 10 miles? What if you're 10 million effing miles off your game because they took 10 million of your energies? This is every one of you. There is not a way for you to be gracious and to say, just to take my energy, let's just call it even. Let's just call it even. Ascend, blah, blah. You can't do that. Can't do that. Wouldn't that be so easy? That'd be so facile. Can't do that. You can't just, that's Jubilee. Let's just declare all debts are no longer valid and just start again. Can't do that because this is about the map of the cosmos, the balance of the harmonic structure of the cosmos. You are supposed to be in a particular space-time coordinate, in a particular place in the time field. And parasite effers have taken stuff away. Bad people, parasite bad people have been taking energy away from you. So instead of you being where you're supposed to be, you're in a place you're not supposed to be. And it has been very, very unfair because it has been not according to your merit. That's why I'm here doing what I'm doing, because cosmic infrastructure recognizes how very, very unfair that is. And there must be a mechanism, but I'm not mechanical, but a way, there must be a pathway that is created through causality to make it possible for these energies to return to you. So I am part of that pathway. I'm creating a corrective experience here, the rectification, where I take all the things that are in the wrong place and put them in the right place. And that means that your energy is restored to you. You also can help or be a part of this. So I want you to know, like, it's actually my job. It's not your job. But if you would like to, I'm off the floor. Just know I'm off the floor. But if you want to help me mop the floor, please help me mop the floor. Claw back your energy. Take back your energy. But also, you're not expected to mop the floor. Do you know why? Because you are actually young people who are still growing. And I am an adult and I have already learned how to do this and I can mop the floor and I can also ascend at the same time. And for you guys, it's a lot for you to mop the floor and ascend at the same time. Okay, so just know I'm not condescending to you. I have these capabilities and I share them here intentionally to make it possible for you to do what you need to do. So please focus on your own, self-improvement and evolution and all the things that you're supposed to be focusing on. Can you ascend with baggage? The answer is you can ascend with baggage, with your own baggage, but what you cannot do is ascend with planetary baggage. There is too much planetary baggage, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to ascend. That's a double negative. You actually are going to ascend. You need to dump the planetary baggage. Who or what is the planetary baggage? Cheeky's coming inside. Hold on, let's get Cheeky inside. Just hold that thought. Who or what is the planetary baggage? Cheeky, come inside and I'll give you a cookie. Come on, good job. Good job. She did a good job. She took care of it enough. Who or what is planetary baggage? She's getting a cookie over here. Just what is it? Who or what is planetary baggage? It's the invaders from Mars, okay? It's the things and people, genetic characteristics, and stuff and junk that is not actually supposed to be here, that either from your present point of view has already inundated your world, or from your Atlantean viewpoint is about to inundate your world. So you have to respond to those aspects of the hijacking of the dream of this world. So even everything that was on Mars is not supposed to be a dream in the mind of the solar system. It's not supposed to be there. You already had pathogens that went into what is now the asteroid belt, and then they went into Mars, and they also were on Mercury, and they also were on Venus. And these are ancient infections and ancient infestations. So I didn't even have to know the entire epic history in order to know that these infections have been here for a long time and that Mars was just the most recent, whatever, rash or pustule to come forward. And then a lot of the consciousnesses that we are currently battling in our world here on Earth came directly from Mars. So that's Elon Musk. We're pretty obvious about this. And I feel, again, no problem. Like, I'm not bullying someone. This is a public figure, and that this is a person who I have overtly stated is a maniac. And he literally fits the definition because he has mania. Mania is psychological definition when people are engaged with motivations and thought processes that are manic, that are not connected to reality, that often involve conflated stories, fantasies, and self-aggrandizement, and make them act in ways that is the definition of the term cuckoo bananas. So Elon Musk comes from Mars, or he is a Martian about to enter and violate our world in the Atlantean viewpoint. And everything that he's done here has been to create an imprisonment satellite grid where he's going to come here and take all the resources of this planet. He's the most wealthy person on this planet. He is an invader. Like, that should be the wrongest thing in the world. I don't even know. Like, let's think of a good analogy, because I don't know if you can do an analogy, but whatever country each one of you is in right now, whatever you are native to, wherever you live, please consider, like, whatever, a person who comes from Antarctica, a penguin from Antarctica, because no one lives in Antarctica, right? But these Antarctic penguins are going to come to your country, and they're going to move in, and they're going to somehow take all of the money from your country and become the richest penguin in the land, and then maybe give you a few dollars here and there down to the peasantry, and even control a large online social media empire that and penguinify it or whatever. Like, unimaginable that this could happen, but this is what has happened on our planet. I'm from this planet. I know. I am an interdimensional visitor. I am a supernatural creature. I am a walk-in. And also, my origins are Atlantic. I'm from Atlantis, or however we are, whatever's the right way to be able to describe that culture. And I come from that layer of reality. This is my world, and it has been taken over and inundated by these invaders, and then they took all the resources. That's not right. And then this guy literally took and amassed and concentrated all of the resources. And I know that that's not all, because, like, he's got some, and, like, the other Martian, Jeff Bezos, has some, and then that guy Bill Gates, Martian, has some, and then, like, let's name some Martians. Taylor Swift, Martian. Like, these are not, I know I make the craziest faces. These are, I mean, the wildest, truly, because I do not have a poker face, and I'm not good at betting games. But these are not native to humanity and Earth people consciousnesses. This is all fictional, of course, in this wonderful book club that we run here each week. And I've actually talked in class many times. What are the hallmarks of invader consciousness versus native consciousness? And basically, it comes down to, like, you know, what I would call the polyester world. So if you ever watched, there's a beautiful movie called La Belle Verte. It is a French movie, and it's from decades ago, but it actually stands the test of time pretty well. And it is about an interdimensional visitor that comes here and kind of, like, restores people back to their native DNA. So there's this beautiful scene where the interdimensional visitor needs to know, like, what time it is or something like that. She asks this guy on the street who's like, Monsieur Businessman. He's got a suit and a tie on and everything like that. But just having one little interaction with her, she walks away or whatever, and he kind of looks looks at himself and he like drops his briefcase, tears off his tie, takes off his shoes, goes over to a tree, hugs a tree, and like, is transformed. But like, so I use that in order to try to say that the mindset of the traditional polyester clad businessman is the mindset of the invader. I have also described it as the predator mind, from the book from Carlos Castaneda. So there are some aspects of the Baroque and predatory, fearful aspects of resource insecurity, food insecurity, and other aspects of non-generosity that are in there, and cruelty. But there's also aspects of like being hateful and rejecting of nature. Levels of the culture, I call it also, the colonialism. Wearing shoes all the time. I say decolonize your posture, take off your shoes and walk in the garden. So being distant and separated from nature, from yourself as an animal, from your own natural bodily processes, from your own circadian rhythm, from your own reproductive rhythm, from natural dynamics that you would have as an animal. And that includes like procreative, family building, and community building dynamics. That like, so a person who is an invader is a person who likes to wear like all polyester clothing, not be in the natural sunlight, be indoors under fluorescent lights at all times, never touch the ground with their feet, never grow food or be aware of where your food and water is coming from, never engage in activities that are considered to be natural, primal, human animalistic activities, and to be fully engaged with technology. Who does that sound like? Who does that sound like? It sounds like all the technologists that that are the people that have usurped most of the resources and taken over a lot of the power structure here in this world. People who are very, very removed from their own bodies, their own cellular processes, their own natural rhythms, and who sustain and create anti-natural edifices in the world. And the satellite system is the ultimate example of that unnatural edifice that is there. But I mean, what I really rage against so much is the assertion of like control of someone else's behavior, because putting up a satellite system impacts all of us. Let's also talk about like the very, very flawed, not scientific viewpoint, but the hubristic viewpoint of a person who might study technological based science in order to control other people's behavior. For example, if you disapproved of the eating of beef and decided to genetically engineer and modify an animal like a tick to bite people, make them allergic to eating meat, that would be a very, very evil thing to do, because you are trying to control other people's behavior through the imposition of technology. It's not just the use of technology. Whatever, a flint knife is technology, but once you stick it into someone else's body, it's definitely becoming their problem. So it's not just a question of having a scientific mindset, and science as a quest for knowledge is completely different than the technological use of contrivances to destroy other people's free will. If it is your free will to eat animals, it is your free will to eat animals. It is not up to a technology-wielding scientist to stop you from doing so, certainly not by making you biologically unable to digest your food. That is horrific. And the idea and the assertion, the inner self-assertion, my face is very pained right now, that someone would do that to anyone or to a group of people is so benighted and wrong that I absolutely have difficulty processing it on an emotional level. It's like I am looking on the playground and I'm like, I absolutely almost can't accept or believe or comprehend that one child would do that to another child. But this is happening on the playground here. And I'm like, this is so unbelievably wrong that I, of course, am here to step in and to stop these things from happening, because that is it's beyond criminal, and that's just one small example of criminality. So the dark side. We're here during Ascension, and the dark side tries to come forward and say this. I'm now pretending that I'm the dark side. I'm the dark side, and we're in Ascension, and I get to have my Ascension too, and I'm going to say all the bad things that I want to have happen. Like, I want to have the book Revelations, and I want to have rivers of blood, and I want to have vampires and whatever, wildebeests going everywhere. And my vision of wildebeest is equal to your vision of fluffy angels. And I'm like, no, it is not the same. And you're not equal to everyone else. Your vision is not the same as other people's vision. And the time field itself has zero patience for dark side bullshit and does not manifest these very horrific bad thought forms. So my notes from 10 years ago are basically all about your co-creative process with the sun and how you can manifest good thought forms. Thought forms are alive. These are sentient particles, just like a photon is a sentient particle. And it is not by accident that some of these forms of sentient come inside of your mind. You're supposed to be able to choose who comes inside of your mind, and you're supposed to also choose who you like energize with and who you emit. That's just like with your biological body. You should choose who comes inside of you. You should choose who you allow to impregnate you, and then you should choose like who comes out as your baby. So, and some of you, when you think about that, you're like, well, no, like throughout human history, women have been impregnated through rape, and then no one gets to choose their child. And I'm like, this is not the way it's supposed to be. You're definitely supposed to choose your partner consensually, and then you're also supposed to have conscious conception in your procreation, which might sound bizarre to you, but you are supposed to have a intention and a relationship with the unformed potential for life even before it comes through you, so that that way you are giving birth to a desired family member and friend, not weird random creature or implanted whatever soul portage Masonic canoe from somewhere else. Blah, yuck. If you can't comprehend what's going on with me, I'm like, so some of this is what I talk about. Like, don't put too much of your tendril of attention on Pizzagate. You can get really sucked into the darkness if you put too much tendril of attention on like Masonic stuff, the Masonic theater that's going on. Hold on a minute. Um, it can pollute you. It can make you feel hopeless, and it can also fill you with nonsense. So don't put too much of your tendril of attention on Masonic theater. But that was what I was talking about with Charlie Kirk and Eric Kirk, and giving you some of the antibodies or cautions, so that that way you won't be taken in. I'm very gratified. I'm very pleased and gratified. No one that I know is believing in this bullshit. Fake bullshit is that this guy got supposedly assassinated, and now there is a Christian revival. I'm going to be very offensive right now. A Christian revival, and people that haven't been to church in ages are going to go and get washed in the blood of the Lamb. Like, I am mocking not your religion, but the fake Christian religion, the cardboard Christianity, the false light Christianity, the fake Christianity of infinite sinning and infinite forgiveness. This is what is being not what is. Up until the point that I intervened, what was on slate for humanity was a techno inquisition, Palantir, which is now over, which would be overt, which had been hidden, run by J.D. Vance and Peter Thiel and all of these gross technocrats who come from Mars. J.D. Vance is from Mars, in case you don't know it, and that they would create a Christian flavored, but not actually Christian flavored, but a semi-Christian flavored theocracy, where they would use technology to completely surveil you and to control your behavior and to punish you. Like, forget about going to court and getting punished. This is why I say Inquisition. In the Inquisition, someone accused you and said, like, that person is a witch, or she gave me the pox, and they'd all be like, kill her, and that's it. Like, that's it. That is what happens. So, yes, the Techno Inquisition. I will now give you lots of information. This is information that is absolutely truthful in a fictional book club reality. Once upon a time, there was a computer system called the Hammer, HAMR. It was also known as the Hammer, like a hammer that can crack something. It was an encryption supercomputer developed before 2016 or 2017, and it was revealed to be truthful by a genuine whistleblower named Dennis Montgomery. He may or may not still be alive. I don't know the truth on it. It's hard to find out about things these days with the, limitations on the computer and what you can know about. But the reason why he came forward as a whistleblower is because he had a cerebral aneurysm, like his brain was about to blow. And he's like, before I die, I'm going to tell everybody the truth about this stuff. He worked on these computer systems. And the computer systems and their existence has been verified by WikiLeaks Vault 7. In fact, WikiLeaks Vault 7 came from Dennis Montgomery, but not before Dennis Montgomery brought his incendiary, truthful information about this encryption supercomputer to the oversight of United States Congress. He said to these guys that are supposed to be the electric lawmakers, the elected lawmakers, like, hey, there's a bunch of bad stuff that a bunch of these people are doing over here, and it's called the hammer, and you need to know about it, and it's illegal. Here's all the information. He brought them like hard drives full of information, and they ignored it because they were already corrupt. This is even before this type of stuff started to control people's minds in a fictional reality and make them even extra stupid and corrupt. This is when they were just regular levels of mediocre, stupid, and corrupt. But they were like, oh, no, we're not going to do anything about the hammer. And so then Dennis Montgomery leaked that to WikiLeaks, and it became brought out as Vault 7. So you can find that WikiLeaks drop. It's HAMR, hammer, and wild turkey. And if you don't know how WikiLeaks works, you go to their website and put in search terms for what you want to search for, like HAMR, and you'll see. And if you want to know if the email or whatever is verified, there's a serial number. So that way you know it's verified, real email. And it's just the pure information that is up on that website, because people don't even know what WikiLeaks is anymore. They think it's Wikipedia. These are two totally different things. It was leaked as Vault 7. And then this becomes like an uncomfortable truth that has to be recognized because it's totally illegal. It is not something you're allowed to do. It's against the Constitution. It's against every law. It's against every surveillance law. And this came out in the public. People knew about it. You might remember it from when it was known that the Samsung TVs were running a surveillance program called Weeping Angel, which comes from Doctor Who. In Weeping Angel, the angels are like, they're made of stone. They don't move until you turn your back. Then they move. And then when you look at them again, they don't move again. So there was a way for Samsung to put this into their chips for the giant, cheap TV screens that they made very affordable to go in people's houses that would surveil you whether the TV was on or not. It was listening to you and recording you and sending information to a giant database in Utah called the Hammer, whether you liked it or not, okay? So all of that predates the W-ban. All of that is what ended up becoming, fictionally, the worldwide body area network that has been not only surveilling you, but at times sickening you because it drains, it doesn't just watch you. You know, it's one thing if your TV watches you. Now I am Yakov Smirnov, a Russian comedian from the 1980s. In Russia, the government watches you. But so what he used to do is make fun of the totalitarian state in Russia and how great it is to be in America. But now I'm pretending to be Yakov Smirnov, and where is he these days? He should be here, and he should say these lines like this. In Russia, in America, you watch TV. In Russia, TV watches you, right? Except it's America. In America, TV watches you. It was the worst delivery ever, but I hope that the comedy comes through. The guy that used to make fun of the totalitarians in Russia now should be here making fun of the totalitarians in the United States. Now TV watches you. And I like it when I make jokes that are so bad that like I have to actually inform you that they are funny for you to actually laugh. That program also, you know, it has morphed into this neurological surveillance, not merely watching you, but also having an impact on your mind. Because it's one thing to watch someone who is in their ascension process. Like imagine the TV is watching you and you're like, I'm ascending, I'm making all of my wishes, I'm making amazing lasagna is happening in the world. And the TV is just sitting there watching you. But it's not enough for the TV to just sit there and watch you. The TV and the TV people are like, I think I want to hijack your ascension. I think I want to create a bunch of this stuff, make it go inside of you and connect you to a bunch of computers. and connect those computers to a bunch of this stuff and people's brains, fictionally, and to make a bunch of bad narratives happen. The topic today is who writes this shit? Who gets to write narratives? Who gets to create reality? So a strictly deterministic view of reality states, not me, someone else wrote all this, it's not my fault. But a genuine, accurate view of reality is that you are in a co-creative partnership where you are responsible for some portion of your life and of your reality. I know that's difficult because you're like, I'm responsible. Here, this is me, evil. I'm evil right now. I'm responsible for the good stuff. None of the evil stuff. Like, very easy. Like, I know I'm only responsible for 5% of my life. All the good things, none of the bad things. But no. So this is where the real, not negotiations, but correct interpretations must be applied of causality factors. What was grandfathered in? What did you actually do? What are you responsible for? What did you emanate? What are the things that you didn't emanate, but that others created around you? It's actually very complex. And so what I like to do and attempt to do is to focus on the easy and clear aspects. I call it the low-hanging fruit, things where it's very obvious. You know, if a person picks up a knife and stabs another person, it's like, they did this thing. You did that thing, right? And that in order to assess people and hold people responsible for the things they are directly, visibly performing in the world. So if you create a giant radiation force field around the whole entire planet and beam a bunch of energy at people that destroys their spirituality and harms their body and causes cancer and facilitates an antichrist regime and makes it possible for very, very evil power structures to continue, even if your words say, I'm your friend, I'm here to help your ascension. Behavior, very, very obvious, low-hanging fruit. Look for people's behavioral expression. And that in it should be a very, very good not litmus test, but like the things that you apply to be able to tell whether a person should be contributing to the narrative of reality. Should you be writing these things? Should you not be writing these things? And believe me, the past 5 years, I have sometimes thought, is this a complete hijacking of ascension? Am I just wasting my time? If I was here, I'd be ascended by now. And if you lived here, you'd be ascended by now. My silly billboard joke. But I sometimes think this is not wasted time, because although I know that my ascension is inevitable and I know that I am together as a person, there's a lot of garbage in the world. And if the ascension is about having like an immediate amplification, like turn up the volume on everything, turn everything up to 11. I don't want to turn Elon Musk up to 11. I think he's a horrible person. And just use him as an example of everything that is wrong with the polyester technocrats in our world that would create such a fake ass world. And also, like, not just even a fake world, but like, you know, he's creating an underground, whatever. His boring company creates underground dungeons. All right. Like, you know what I mean? Tunnels for evil baby eaters underground. That is not a good thing to do. Definitely not a good thing to do. Who should be contributing to reality? You're in a band. He plays terrible music. Give him the triangle. Don't let him play any notes. He is a bad musician. So claw back of your energy from those who have stolen energy from you. Restoration of your own capacity to believe in yourself and to create reality structures. Removal from reality of the people or organizations that have attempted to hijack your reality. Because here you are in your art studio attempting to paint, and something else is like grabbing your hand and being like, no, paint this horrible painting over here like this. And you're like, no, I don't want to do that. And also, I need to be free to paint and not fight against you in every moment of my day just to try to paint. So that is the essence of what the Starlink satellite is. It's literally, you're trying to paint with the sun. You and the sun are in a divine partnership where you are trying to paint beautiful things and make beautiful events happen in your body and in your community and in your world and in your life. And then something else comes along with the satellites and it takes your mind and it dilutes the intention behind it and tries to apply that to a negative reality. So it's essential to claw back your energy and be like, hey, get your hands off of me. You're not allowed to steal my paint. You're not allowed to steal my energy. I refuse to let you have my mind, my paint, my art materials, my art supplies for your crappy Book of Revelations reality. All right. Charlie Kirk, Masonic, satanic, biblical, end times, Book of Revelation, hypnotic programming, and the hijacking of people's deeply held religious beliefs and subconscious desires in an attempt to manifest the end of the world. And that is not what I condone. And I live in the world. That's why I don't allow this. I'm like, no, you're not allowed to use all of our co-opted and hijacked reality creation abilities to destroy us with. And when I contextualize it as invaders from Mars coming here, stealing all of your physical resources, putting up a prison network to prevent your mind from connecting effectively to the rest of the stars, imprinting you with the expectation and necessity of your own death. And then key point, he thinks he's going to fly back to Mars. And I've told you already, Mars is a dead corpse in the sky. So this is totally mania. That's why he say he's a maniac. I say he is a maniac because it is a mania. When you die and you come out of the body is a putrid corpse. You can't be like, I miss my old body. I think I'll jump back into that putrid corpse. That doesn't work. And you know what? Like, God is really smart. That is why the corpse putrefies, because it's like, you can't live here anymore. Go onward on your journey. You effed up enough that you can't live in this body anymore. Go somewhere else. That's the truth. So this guy effed up so bad on Mars that there's a dead body there. And then he's trying to live in your body. And then he's trying to steal the resources from your body so that he can then go back to a dead body. Part of me wants to say, go back to a dead body. See how well it works for you. But the big part of me says, you don't get to do that with my resources because this planet is my planet. And I do not condone him taking all of the resources from my planet and imprisoning all of you through this fictional satellite network and then flying to another planet. That is about the worst dick move that you can make. He is a very bad person, and I hope that these words have destroyed every layer of his glamour, every layer of public relations, marketing, and direct hypnosis that he has perpetrated against you. And I hope that you know how very dangerous, evil, and antichrist he is. And the idea is he's going to create this satellite system, and then you're going to have a political supposed reformation movement on Earth that's going to end up with everybody implanted with antichrist hardware and living under an incredibly suppressive theocracy. This is not going to happen. I tell you this so that it will not happen. So this is the opposite of blackpilling. Blackpilling people like Whitney Webb. Sorry, but I don't think she's a good person. Because at first I was like, how can she be on there saying all these things? Like, how come her mind isn't getting fried? How come she's not getting fried by Space Force right now? She would talk about all of these things. And I was like, she must have an enormous amount of, person. She must be a warrior and such a powerful person not to get brain fried by saying all these things. And then I'm like, I think that she's saying all these things because they want her to say all these things, and that she brings forth the narrative of like, here's all these bad things, and then there's nothing you can do about it. Black pill, black pill, black pill. And that is why some people are given the opportunity to speak. So whether or not she is consciously aware of her affiliations or the way in which her voice is being used, that is the end result of how her voice is being used. So wipe away the black pill, because she is giving you information to warn you about Palantir, about JD Vance, about the agenda of these incredibly dangerous antichrist people in your world, which is not giving you like the solutions. It's very disempowering. So super yellow caution flags on her and super yellow caution flags on Catherine Austin Fitts. Again, so these are two different people completely. So I just like do a sorbet between them. But Catherine Austin Fitts is a former government bureaucrat insider. Don't trust her. And she also is super black pilling people because she's basically saying, like, this is never going to work, and 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 just pay cash in order to try to maintain your freedom so that you don't go on to CDBC. Like, I am like, no, I don't want you to maintain the supremacy of the dollar and just pay cash at the farmer's market to try to be free. So that's not everything on the credit card, that they can't control cash that much. I'm like, no, what I actually want you to do is to destroy the supremacy of the dollar. Because here's the truth of this. The dollar is a satanic instrument. And we do not want to play beautiful music of real life using a satanic instrument. It was always a co-opting of the energy of life. And this goes back to ancient Sumeria and the invention of money. Can I tell you about the invention of money? Good. I mean, we're almost at the end of class. Today, I just like threw my curriculum out the window, but I did weave some of it in there with you, but I hope the important stuff got out there. 5,000 years ago in ancient Sumeria, people grew barley. They had too much barley at times, and they wanted to somehow save it up and use it in the future and get stuff from other people with the extra stuff that they had for right now for the future. So they invented these little like clay cones, like little game pieces, and it represented a sheaf of barley, which was kind of like, like a bundle of barley. And then they put their little cones of barley in like a little purse. And they would be like, this is how much barley I got, and I'll trade it for you. These were illiterate people. They did not have numbers. They did not have a way to be able to do commerce. It was the beginning of commerce. That also happened at the same time that humans were invaded, genetically modified. It was one of the many planetary invasions and the many times you were Stockholm syndromed into believing that those who supposedly civilized you, who were colonizing you, were actually giving you something of benefit. They weren't. So, of course, those markers, those clay markers, became gold, right? And then we're into fast forward. Now I'm in the time machine with everyone. Fast forward 5,000 years. And now here we are today in our present level of difficulty. And this has everything to do with your ability to create with your mind. That moment 5,000 years ago took people away from the very, very direct connection to matter, where you're creating with your mind. And the invaders who got everybody groomed to utilize gold as a non-edible marker for food were basically getting everybody to disconnect from God and to stop believing in themselves as reality creators and narrative writers, and to go into workers who work for someone else. When you are unimaginative and you don't have your own wherewithal and your own business and your own, when you're not self-employed, what do? Get a job. That's what everybody tells you. You want money? Work for it. Get a job. Work for someone else. Sell your time for money. Stop being divinely connected. You actually should not get a job. You should actually work for God. You should actually listen to the sun. You should actually do what your innate divine connection tells you to do in each moment. And you're like, yeah, Aurora, that sounds very nice, but I'm not an independent, wealthy multimillionaire that I can sit around doing whatever I want all the time. I got to get a job and I got to get some money. I'm like, you understand. You understand completely. In your world right now, because of this hoo-ha from 5,000 years ago, you have a class of people that get to sit around and self-direct their time and say, I'm going to do this at this moment because this is important to me, because they got money in bank and they eat steak in the Matrix. And then there's a different class of people that are not allowed to self-direct their time, that say, I need to get some money so I can get food and put gas in my car. We'll go work for someone else. Will no longer direct my own time or my own moment-to-moment existence in the time field. Someone else tell me what to do and give me some gold or paper. All right? So there's an innate sacrifice of your connection to the sun in order to receive resources. And then after that, now let's get in the time machine. Let's go back 300 years or so to the beginning of the United States. And they created these dollars. And the dollars and the United States was actually not intentionally satanic Masonic, because there's now this hijacking of the narrative when they try to say, well, Washington, D.C. was built on this grid and it's all Masonic and it's at the beginning of the United States and they all built this in order to enslave you. That's not truthful. So also please know that a couple of weeks ago, myself and probably a couple of other people did some good stuff around breaking the Masonic grid in Washington, D.C., because it was all based upon like cement or artifices, like constructs. Like you can break stuff like that so easily, like a little molecular breaking of covalent bonds, and then all of a sudden these spells are broken. So don't worry about that. But the originators of the United States, so people like George Washington, people say, well, he was a Freemason and he was the founder of the United States. And so he was satanic too. And he brought all these satanic ideas, and it was all just like a 300-year-long rug pull. I'm faking it. A 300-year-long rug pull. They set you up to think you were going to have freedom. And they even wrote this document about how you have like freedom of this and freedom of that. But then at the end, it was all a satanic rug pull because they were all setting up. And it's like, no, that's actually not truthful at all. What is truthful is that there were very, very positively oriented, positive polarity oriented creators of the foundation documents of the United States that were attempting to protect the natural rights that you have, like the ability to speak, for freedom of speech and freedom of expression, and all these things. Like it is actually the closest thing to the articulation of cosmic law, although it is not perfect in any way. But it was a ham-handed, clumsy attempt to codify those natural born rights. And I think in that sense, it was positive. But of course, the regime because the regime that you have right now is trying to say, oh, this country was always satanic. The dollars were always occult. This country was not always satanic. The dollars were not always occult. This country has become overtly satanic, and the dollars have become occult symbols of participation in satanic rituals. So to sum this up, the United States wasn't always a place for Satanists, and participation in the economy here did not always mean giving a portion of it, tithing some amount to satanics or to the satanic infrastructure. It became that way. And it became that way slowly over time. And then with 9/11 and the Twin Towers, it was like a sudden thing. That I call everything after 9/11 that I've been here for the satanic USA, the SUSA, the SUSA, right? So the satanic USA, that's like George Bush and his son and their whole entire mafia. They all controlled everything. So I should say it in better languaging. The entrenched political dynasty that came out of the OSS, which predated the CIA and is affiliated with the Bush family, became the overt rulers of the United States. And also the Bush crime syndicate is a magical house, like the House of Windsor or the House of Saud. These are magical affiliations. So these are dark magicians who came to prominence and took over power. And then everything that you've had since then has been the increasing, like, turning of the screw or ratcheting of the torture device for you to be have fewer and fewer rights, your rights to be eroded that were enshrined in the original Constitution, more and more and more, until you're at this moment right now, the Charlie Kirk thing. This is meant to totally destroy your rights. This was intended, but it's not going to happen. But it was intended to usher in this theocracy. So you have in the United States a lot of things in the documentation that is separation of church and state for a reason, and all these other things for a reason. And so it was intended to be a theocracy, a blending of church and state, and also a techno-theocracy, a technologically capacitated, religious flavored world of zero rights. And that is what was supposed to be really the beginning of 5 years ago. The satellite system is an inherent part of that. The injections are an inherent part of that. You can't have a population with free will and with free speech and with freedom of communication and have that techno-inquisition theocracy that these guys want. And I don't even have to go into why they want it. Like, they're insane. They're manic. Why are insane people insane? They're crazy. I just go with they're insane. And anybody that's got mental health issues and is in my class, we love you. We love crazy people. Don't worry. But these are bad, manic, insane people doing bad stuff. All right. So keep your insanities like positive or whatever. No, I'm going too far afield here. But to remain very serious. So of course, I am not going to let this happen. And also, you guys don't have to let this happen either. The hijacking of narratives. The sun does not want you all to live in a fried up zone where you can't connect to God and where you can't build that tendril. Everything they're trying to do with this satanic USA regime, fictionally, is meant to destroy your tendril of attention. Make it so you can't connect to the sun. Connect to the sun. Just connect to the sun. Build your light body, connect the tendril of attention to the sun, fly your lasagna in order to do so, and everything falls into place. So that is how foundationally important your light body and connection to the sun is. Certain frequencies make it very difficult for you to connect to the sun. These are the frequencies that they have deployed here, and that the military literally runs on those frequencies. They're not telecommunication frequencies, they're antichrist frequencies. And this was done all very intentionally. So in this narrative, the antichrists are like, poopity poop poop poop. We're in charge. We get to create a reality narrative, and we're going to make it loud and bad and amplify our bad music. And you have to be like, no, you guys, even with loud, bad music, get to influence reality 0%. And we, good, loving, real people who are really connected to divinity, even if it's a percentage, like maybe you're not 100% connected, but even if it is a percentage, you get to influence and contribute towards reality. So as you make a reality creation seed, and try to put it into the vibrating field. And you're like, okay, I'm trying to put good stuff in there. And whatever, even if you make 1 or 5% good stuff that's really clear into your world seed, and then you plant that seed, divine consciousness will be like, oh, good, like 5% good stuff out of this one. I think like Cracker put that seed like, whoa, good stuff in here. Let's make that happen. Let's make that happen. All right. So Handmaid's Tale. No, we're not going to make that happen. End of the world, Book of Revelation, destruction. Not going to make that happen. Total imprisonment. Not going to make that happen. These are all like negative nightmare reality structures that we don't want to and don't need to exist or explore. Bad grammar. But you don't need to explore those realities, and it's certainly not something that you are creating for yourself as a didactic curriculum. And what would we like to create instead? You have to create reality structures where you are empowered, Antichrist is not, and then upward from there, the things that you genuinely would like to see in your own body, in your own community, in your own life. And I definitely don't want to live in, one of these suppressive, oppressive religious theocracies. I'm telling you, it's not like they would be like, oh, like, who cares? Like, everyone else is going to church. I'll just stay here, drinking tea or whatever. They will fry your brain. Do you get it? It's not like, oh, like, I'm just choosing not to participate. I'll sit over here and just not. No, non-participation would not be an option. This would really be mandatory participation. And, a lot of the side effects of the fictional injections in this fictional reality in the book club that we're exploring right now were meant to create these negative futures. It's one thing to create negative futures with your mind, and it's another thing to actually make them happen. So creating a negative future with your mind, like, well, I hope my loved one isn't dead in a ditch somewhere, like they had a car accident. And then creating it would be actually taking your car and ramming them off the road so that it creates those bad things from happening. So with these negative Handmaid's Tale, the world has become sterile narratives. These are Stephen King narratives. These are literally The Stand. This is literally like, you know what I'm talking about? A disease has come into the world. It affected people's reality and ability to procreate. And now humanity is struggling as a species. Like, this is this type of mentality. You not only do you not have to, participate in that, but they're not just being like, oh, I hope that doesn't happen and someone is dead in a ditch. They're like, oh, I hope that doesn't happen. And then they create the actual bioweapons to make it happen. Like, this is very, very intentional. So not just out of control minds who are accidentally creating crazy reality narratives that we have to live through. These are very intentionally malevolent minds creating realities that are attempting to like destroy our whole entire world. Do you think Fauci gets his ideas from the sun? Not that I think that gain of function is even a thing, because I will also tell you this. Every time I hear gain of function, that is hypnotic phrase that is similar to The plane hits the building. The plane hits the building. It was Islamic terrorists. The plane hits the building. It wasn't like the buildings were wired to be justified, right? It's the plane hits the building, right? It's the official narrative, and it preys upon your trauma. So every time you hear Wuhan, gain of function research, it's a hypnotic trigger, and they're telling you something that is not the true story of who is really responsible. Okay. So it is DARPA, but it's not Fauci, and it's not like gain of function. It really is this type of stuff, fictionally, that sometimes happens. But whoever invented this stuff, do you think they got their idea for it from the sun? Do you think that the sun connected to them with their tendril of attention and said, we'll use Fauci as an example. You, Fauci, today, your job is to go down there and go over there into the lab and make a bioweapon, start this thing. No, and I hope that is fictionally not a problem that I'm saying this. We're all just having a fictional book club meeting here. No, I don't think that he or anyone who would do some of these incredibly antisocial activities would get their ideas to do that from the sun. Not to enslave humanity, not to destroy DNA, not to diminish your ability to dream your own dream or to try to hijack your dream. Sun would really never tell anyone to do that. So then we can also comprehend that of all of the thought structures that are available to each one of us here today in a non-deterministic realm, each one of us is making choices about which thoughts and the quality of thoughts that we have come inside of us and that we act upon. Fast forward, if any of you need, I should put that in the comments, get to 2 hours and 40 minutes in order to get to the meat and potatoes of what Aurora is trying to say here. That's it. That's pretty much it. Good. So I'm glad that I was able to get there. I also have to feel like I have to apologize a little bit because today was such a off the cuff and unformed expression of the things that I'm trying to share with you. But I feel like there were a lot of current events things that I had to tell you in order to help you to navigate realities and to be guided in positive ways. So don't be worried. Don't be like, oh no, like this illusion is here, like whatever, the PSYOP, the Charlie Kirk thing. PSYOP is here. So I better be very worried. I'm going to bite my nails and I'm going to worry about things. Because what if people believe the wrong thing? What if this and that? So you don't have to be a keyboard warrior and like go against all these different, there's a lot of bots on the computer. So you many times will be tilting at windmills. So don't worry about that. But in your own mind, remain clear. And in your conversations with other people, remain clear. Not that I want to program you for dictate your reality to you, but when you perceive things in reality, please perceive them clearly for yourself and maintain your truth in reality. Because there is always this whole thing too, red pill, blue pill, black pill. The red pill mission was to convince others of your truth, and that was somehow essential because it was the erroneous dark magic idea that you have to harness a quorum in order to get stuff to happen in reality. Like if you just get enough people to agree to your reality on your team, then you will influence reality. So it was the idea that everybody had to be red-pilled to know what was going on. You're going to go around, this maybe is from even, 9 or 10 years ago. There was a big momentum to do that. Tell your friends and family and fight on the internet and tell people what's going on. And that was the idea of red-pilling people. We are so far past that. That is definitely stuff for earlier in the marathon and is definitely not appropriate now when you need to focus on your perception, your life, the things that are within your own control, and definitely not on trying to control other people's behavior. You do have to allow people to be in their freedom, but people are not free to stab you in the effing face. If they try to hurt you, you must stop them. And that goes to people who make satellite systems are hurting you. You must stop them. You must stop them. They are literally stabbing you in the third eye right now. So let's wrap it up. And you can also tell the sun is going down. I'll see if I can get Cheeky to go outside for a little bit. Because the time, also, I didn't tell everybody the time has changed in the United States. And that's why you might have been confused if I was starting the meeting at the right time. So thank you for everyone for recognizing this. So continued thank yous and forgiveness for my fragmented attempts to try to put things into words that I think are sometimes difficult, but thank you for being with me and allowing me to express myself in this way. To everybody who runs YouTube, this has been a completely fictional book club, and I hope that nobody actually thinks that this is for real. And thank you very much for everyone who's in this class. Let me also check the comments and make sure thank you. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, this is beautiful. Wait, okay. So let's start with the most recent comment because I think that I'm probably going to go outside to try to catch the sunset. Michelangelo says, "Thank you, Master Aurora. My love to you, Cheeky, and all the loving souls here. Thank you very much, Michelangelo." P.S. I've always thought people like Russell Brand, Alex Jones, Catherine A. Fitz, among others, are controlled opposition. Totally. So thank you for your clarity. All of the people you mentioned are public figures, like they're overt public figures. Let's run down the list. Russell Brand is totally evil a-hole. Just sometimes I pause because I have to collect myself. How do I even put this into words? So he is most definitely not only controlled opposition, but someone who is very much polarity negative, aligned with the dark side, pretending to be your pretend friend, and then also mocking your religion. He has pretend converted to Christianity for the doctrine of infinite forgiveness. He's like, forgive me for all the time that I ate that pizza. And now I'm a good person. And I'm such a good person. I'm even going to baptize other people into being a good person. And then if do some sins again, don't worry, because infinite forgiveness. He is that fake. He is that fake. You understand? It's dangerous when you welcome people into Christianity because this is people hit rock bottom. They're like, I'm a drug addict, pizza eater. And I did the worst things in the world. I'm being fake here. And then, forgive me. I have come to the Lord and I have been washed clean in the blood of the Lamb. Like I'm being really, really fake now. Da-da, I'm baptized. I'm good. And then I'm going to go sin again. And then I'm going to be like, oh, forgive me because I'm a sinner. We're all bad and we're all sinners. And you have to forgive me because you're as bad as I am. And don't be a hypocrite. Like, do you understand? That is a effing wrecking ball in the church. That is not a spiritual leader. That is a person who goes into religion to work the system, to see if they can mess things up, to mislead other people, and also to see if they can drain you of your energy. Because the church and forgiveness and generosity and fellowship, there's nothing better than like a demon that goes in there and is like, I'm your friend, let's kumbaya. And it's like draining you energetically, financially, and in terms of attention. You should not listen to Russell Brand or be influenced by him. He is not a mentor for you in any way. And you should not believe his come to Jesus moment. All right. He's definitely a come to fake Jesus person. Okay. Page break, sorbet. Let's talk Alex Jones. Oh my God. Do I have like 5 hours to rant to you about this? But basically, that guy was fake as shit. Sorry, kids. Years ago. He was a fake construct, controlled opposition liar years ago. Now, I hope it's okay when I tell you this because I hope you don't think that I'm just lying, but I can hear it in people's voices when they have a demonic implant. And also, I can hear it in people's voices when they have smoked crack. They have a particular quality. I could never listen to the original Alex Jones's voice because he smoked crack and he was full of the crack demon. And he was literally created and elevated in his position by the CIA as controlled opposition, and they gave him crack. They're like, here, have crack, smoke a drug, have a demon come inside of you, and then say the most outlandish things you possibly can. We won't stop you. And he was there to totally discredit the Truther movement. Of course, became wildly popular. Now he's been replaced. The original Alex Jones is not there. There is now fictionally, of course, a completely different guy who is not there. But they got the second guy, the replacement guy, to also smoke crack because that's become his signature crack voice that he sounds like that. Okay, so definitely I don't know if you guys had in like this is like Aurora's spill the tea hour now. If you have anyone else that you want to know about, but like no, you should never listen to that guy. He was always a hyperbolic, inflamed idiot that was meant to discredit you and make you look like an idiot through association and was never someone who was actually giving you real information. So let me just scroll to see if anybody, I think, I'm not sure if someone was replying to that, but yeah, no, then let me see, anybody, just hit me with them. If anybody else wants to know, try to choose people who are like public figures with broad targets on themselves. But yeah, no, and this is one of my, come to my retreats, please come to my retreats. It's one of my favorite things to be able to do. And ask me anything about people. So here, this is going to be a good question. Oh, this is a good, Tom asks good questions. Book yourself some time. Okay, here we go. Oh, wait, this is really, really nice. Thank you. Wait, let's go here. Back to here. Okay, so Chris, first of all, says, that's interesting. The other morning, as I was sun gazing, I started to see a design when my eyes were closed. Then you just mentioned the vibrating field. I just noticed the pattern looks similar to what is on the front of your dress. So I am sensing my third eye is opening and starting to see your drawings. Am I saying this right? Totally correct. It's why I make my drawings and it's why I wear them. Thank you so much. And I'm really, really proud of you that is what's happening for you. So your thumbs up, you're on the right direction. And he said, the pattern I saw in my mind is actually the same colors too from your blouse that you're wearing now. It's why I do it. I literally do these paintings so that when people, these are landscapes of a real place. And when you go to that place, you will see the landscape and you'll be like, I recognize this. Wait a minute. The shape of that mountain looks exactly like the shape of Aurora's painting over here. And I think Aurora was here and she saw this too. And she's in the same place. This is totally why I do this. So thank you so much for recognizing that. And it's literally why I do the paintings that I do and why I also like to make things that are wearable. This is still actually a work in progress, but I wanted to wear it today. It's not fully done yet. So I have some cool finished stuff to be able to show you. Okay, so now just get ready, everyone, because Tom asks good, long questions. So we got to get ready for this. He says, is there any truth or validity to the 15 chakra system, Keylontic or other interpretations? Okay, the first question, because he's got more coming up, the answer is semi, not completely accurate. It's truthful that our 7 chakras that I talk about are actually within a spectrum that also goes lower on the piano and also goes higher on the piano. So we are within a human octave or realm or amount of self, but we do have other aspects of self that go into the much, much higher range and then also that go down into the lower range. But I find that it is not effective to focus on those areas of reality right now. So I find that it is more effective to stay focused on the red through violet chakras and recognize that white light is the source of it. So it's just like saying there's different tunings. Like right now when I do my music, I do Western tuning, which is, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then back to C. But they do weird things in China and weird stuff in India. And both of those things are normal in China and India, but they sound weird to me, but their calibrations are different. So I can hold forth the opening that maybe some people think that the Keylontic science is just like a different, but still valid tuning of interpretation, but also like, we know that there's some questions about Ashayana, so I don't know how valid it is, but it sounds out of tune to me. Okay, so next answer is, can you speak about the warning related to people who change from a 7 to a 3 chakra system and why this is not advisable? So this is definitely detuning your guitar. Like, that's like, look at your solar system. You're supposed to have all these planets, but some of your planets are missing and some of your planets are dead. It doesn't sound good when you play the guitar because there are not the correct strings in your solar system. Same thing with your body. There was a vogue fashion a couple of years ago of people getting rid of their chakras. Like, chakras, I've had it with you. I'm getting rid of you. Or like, I'm liberated. Like, get my kicking the chakras out. Like, get off of my couch. Get out of here. No, not only do I question whether it's possible, I think that it is not advisable. Your chakras are inherently related to your life, to your ability to be alive. I really felt like I didn't think that people were actually getting rid of your chakras. But if you get rid of your chakras, you kill yourself. You die. And if you move from a 7 chakra to a 3 chakra, that's like amputating yourself. It is not healthy, not good, not advised. And also, if you do it because there's a problem with your chakras, it is exactly like saying, problem with your arm, amputate. I have a slight rash. I think I will amputate. Like, my face says it all. It's horrible. Fix it. Don't amputate. Can you talk about 12-strand versus 48-strand DNA? Do the numbers or strands change as one restores their original blueprint through daily FRL practice and discipline? Counting strands as 12 or 48 is inherently erroneous. Everything that humans know about the molecular structure of DNA must be called into question, including the comprehension that DNA is merely building blocks that does not have behavior. I am no longer in releasing information about what DNA is into human society until Earth-centered materialistic science gets its effing shit together. Because, sorry, kids, I'm not going to give people ammo to use against me. You people are good people. I'm not going to tell them the true nature of DNA. No, no more. But please know that there will come a time when I will be able to speak much more overtly, and I would love to enlighten you all about the true nature of DNA, but I'm not going to do that right now because it would be pretty much like whatever, like giving the Nazis a bunch of handbooks into like how to destroy reality more effectively. No, I am not going to do that. But please know that it is not a strand, it is not 12 strands, it's not 48 strands. And that I will speak to you as loyal FRL people more about what DNA is and how to do it effectively as the years move forward, and how you're working with your DNA effectively. So it is not information that I'm gatekeeping or withholding from you, but I don't want this information or the way that I speak about it to be taken, stolen, and misappropriated by big, giant, fat, evil a-holes like Elon Musk and all of the Faucis of the world. All right. Positive affirmation, Tom says, making myself available to the practice while pulling out the yoga mat. Beautiful. This is exactly what I would encourage for everyone, because flying rainbow lasagna is a spontaneous event or expression. It is difficult to schedule it. It is difficult to say at 4:54 p.m. on Wednesday, I will definitely do the flying rainbow lasagna. What you have to do is train for it. Fuel your body, be nourished, be prepared for it, eat the sunlight. And then, like Tom says, make yourself available to it. That means like, okay, I'm putting down my yoga mat. I'm stretching, I'm getting my body going. I'm seeing if there's energy for me to do lasagna. Kind of like being like, okay, like I'm ready for lasagna. Let's lasagna. It's like you're getting ready for surfing. Go to the ocean, see if it is optimum surfing conditions. What if you get yourself all ready and all like, get in your bathing suit and eat a bunch of donuts and you wax up your surfboard and you get out to the ocean and you're like, no waves. You're like, wah, wah. What are you going to do? Go for a bicycle ride because you're not going surfing today. So you have to recognize that flying rainbow lasagna is similar. It is inherently connected to the harmonics and the waves of time, and that there's not a way for you to be like lasagna under duress. Like, I have to lasagna right now. Like, give me a time wave or something. Like, it's just, that is not that way. So, ooh, I don't know what that is. He asks, can you speak to J seal or draconian seals? I don't know what it is. The removal of J seals is a somewhat known service offered by healers online. Information on J seals seems to be within the context of the 15 chakra system. Okay, I didn't know about it, but thank you for telling us. Regardless of the names, are these chakra seals difficult to remove? I'm guessing your private sessions heal our chakras in this context, being techno-intuitive. Okay, so the question, chakra seals. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but like I definitely can perceive, and I think I know about like when people they're so, oh my goodness. I mean, we're talking about this. There's different levels of cursing, which is the inhibition of another person's chakras to flow in an effective way. Some of it can be cursing like against a person's health, but some of it can be cursing them against flowing in the right future. Like, like I don't want you to make that basket, like jinx on your basket or on your golf swing or on whatever, finding a lover and having a baby. Like, there's all sorts of ways in which people curse or diminish other people, or even just looking at someone and thinking like you're ugly or your mama or anything like that. These are all curses. And then a seal would be a completely different type of thing where like you're trying to prevent someone from achieving some capacitation. And these are all like you're talking about levels of dark magic. So some of it would be through making quid pro quo bargains with demonic entities. But in this world of the technocracy, it might be about the W band. And if you watch my beautiful cartoon about the W band, you understand that there is a place called the Up, where people who have made bargains are treated kindly within the concentration camp. And that is certainly not acceptable. And there are a lot of people, if you wonder, like, how did they have a good life over the past 5 years? Because they were a friend to the regime. They were already a part of the theocracy. They already had the Antichrist living in their brain, and then they had a very nice past 5 years. So seals can be done in terms of saying to someone within the technocracy, you're not allowed to think that thought, or you're not allowed to have that feeling, or you're not allowed to function in that way, and then having some aspect of their energy drained away from it. But that's different, of course, than the hundreds or thousands of years that these types of curses and diminishments have been going on. But I don't know if that answers your question. Sorry, I don't know about J seals. And then the last question is, are these chakra seals encrypted and therefore requiring decryption expertise to remove them? Some of them, yes, but you have to be really careful when you de-encrypt stuff, because sometimes that's like putting your tendril of attention into a trap. Good encryptors do this. Here's poison, and then here's encryption around the poison. And you leave it like a present. You call it special presents. And when someone finds the special presents, they're like, "Ooh, what's the special present? It's all encrypted. I think I'll decrypt it." And then when you decrypt it, you open it up, and the face hugger jumps onto your face, and then you don't have your own mind anymore. Okay. Or in other ways, corrosion or diminishment happens. When I'm saying face hugger, I was like, pop culture allusion to the movie Alien, but don't be literal. I'm being very, very silly. But so you have to be really careful. If you're like, "Oh, this guy's got a seal on this chakra, it's a special present, I'll decrypt it." Duh! Put on your bomb-proof gear before you try to defuse any bombs, please. And if you don't have bomb-proof gear, then don't be on the bomb squad. And a lot of guys die on the bomb squad. So be really careful. Thank you. And you ask excellent questions, so thank you. And I hope that I did not sound too much like in this lecture. I hope I wasn't lecturing you too much, but I hope I was giving you protection from dangerous stuff. Okay, good. And Avril says, "Thank you, Aurora, for your organic and authentic wisdom." Thank you very much. Thank you for that. And says, "I cannot stand Russell Brand. Even 20 years ago back in the UK, never liked his energy. Totally evil a-hole." And you know what? I think you guys should go with your initial sense. Like when you're allergic to someone, just like, "Oh, whoever that guy is, like, I just can't, he makes my skin crawl." Like you get a feeling like that. Go with your feeling, please. Please go with your feeling. And when you judge a book by its cover, please judge a book by its cover, especially here and now. All right, so like page break, and now I'm just kind of like being my regular social persona person. Of course, I've got my dog's medicine from the vet today, and I bring it up because like I'm not trying to be like a professor right now. I'm just trying to share with you from my life. The woman at the vet gave us the medicine, but her mask slipped for a moment. There was a problem with the medicine. I don't have to go all into it. But I was very polite through the whole entire thing. And in the end, we completed the transaction, and her mask slipped, meaning her facial muscles relaxed, and her face, she made a really bad face at me. And I just realized, like, I saw her true face. So I bring this up because I want you guys to be prepared. You're going to see people's true faces more and more. I am really working to bring down the W-ban and all of these forms of artificial diminishment of your true insight and your true ability to see and assess people's energy. Because when you can see and read someone's energy, you're like, "That's an antichrist. I'm not believing in him. No, you're not going to baptize me, Russell Brand. You're an effing antichrist. I'm not going to let that happen." So when you see people's true faces, especially now going forward, please believe them the first time. So when this little incident happened right before class today, I'm driving away from there, and I was thinking like, "Oh yeah, it was very obvious. Like, don't want to interact with that lady again." But people often rationalize, and they're like, "I'm sure she's having a bad day. Let's forgive and forget, blah, blah, this and that." I don't think that's effective. Don't think you should do that at any time. Definitely not right now, because you're given these windows of clarity in these moments, but that way you can protect yourself. And you know what? If this person didn't do their job effectively, and that my dog did not have her effective cardiac medicine that she needs because of that person not doing their job effectively, and then did more things not effectively when I went back there to try to get the medicine, and then showed me her face like this, then you believe them the first time, okay? And I actually think that through her inattentiveness, she would have been very, very happy to cause harm to my animal. You can't do that in the world, much less in a position of responsibility in an office for medical treatment of any kind of human or animal when prescriptions are dispensed. And your job is to be responsible to dispense those prescriptions. You know that. That's all. That's all I have to say. That's all. And I'm even kind of considering, like, because it's a community member, and I'm wondering, like, I wonder if this person would ever watch this video. I wonder if they would ever plow through 3 hours in order to be able to come to that, and then wonder if I was talking about them. And then I'm like, that's okay. If they find out about it like this, that's okay. Maybe I should confront them at some point. I did not confront them about their problems in their medical office. What I'm trying to say, on and subconscious desires to harm other people. Please understand this. What if someone's a nurse or a doctor that you're interacting with and they're supposed to be helping other people and instead they have an on or subconscious desire to actually cause harm and they just don't fill out paperwork or do something correctly and then you end up not having what you need? Avril says Indigo Angel does this, J seals and DAO seals removal. Okay, all right. Yeah, no, so I didn't know what that is. Okay, so thank you. And I'm sure you know something, guys. There's so many things I don't know about. Things come across my radar because I need to know about them because I am here in a professional capacity as lasagna to fix things. So there's a lot of things I don't know about. It doesn't mean that they're perfect. It just means it's not relevant to me. Like I didn't know about Charlie Kirk at all until this incident happened in early September. And now I know about it and I have to respond to it. You're like, why didn't you respond to this 2 or 3 years ago? The truth is I didn't know about that years ago. Jack Smith, he's a political guy in the United States. He was doing stuff in 2021 that I didn't know about because I was so busy fighting for my life. Now that I am on top in the battle and I have more time to sit and read the news and see what's going on, I'm like, oh, who's this guy? How come I didn't know about that? Oh, because I was busy fighting for my life. Now that I know about him, now I'm going to do something about this. So please also know that about me, guys. Since 2021, I've been very, very heavily embattled, which is also sometimes why I don't answer emails and other messages as effectively as I would like to, of course. But the things that I've been focusing on have been, very much taking up my energy and my attention. And so I haven't known about everything, and they did that intentionally to distract me because they're like, don't let Aurora distraction so that we can do evil stuff over here. And then when I find out that they're doing evil stuff over there, then I'm like, I'm going to stop the evil stuff. So sometimes it does help me when you bring things to my attention because I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was going on. That is bad. You got to stop this right away. So it helps. So maybe if I find out about these J SEALs, maybe I'll be like, either the J SEALs are bullshit or the removers are bullshit. Maybe they are both bullshit. Again, apologies for my terrible language. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you very, very much, everyone. Again, thank you for being in this class and for allowing me to speak freely and for making yourself available to these levels of information. Thank you for listening to me is basically what I'm trying to say. Thank you very much for all of that. Yeah. Okay. So have a beautiful night, everyone. I'm going to go take care of Cheeky. Thank you.